Everybody, I'm going to go ahead and call the regular DeKalb City Council meeting of December 8th, 2025 to order. Roll call, please.
Zazada,
Here.
Larson,
Here.
Smith, Carlson,
Here.
Powell,
Here.
Verbic,
Here.
Walker,
Here.
Mayor Barnes.
Here.
7 present.
Just so everyone knows, Alderman Smith did reach out to me ahead of time. We're really early on, letting me know he wasn't going to be able to attend this meeting. Then with that, we'll move on to agenda item B, the Pledge of Allegiance. If you all don't mind rising, and Captain Hy-Vee, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Thank you, Mr. Gentry. All right, moving on to agenda item C, approval of the agenda. I would take a motion to approve the agenda as is.
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Verbic, seconded by Alderwoman Zazada. Yes? Oh, Alderwoman Larson? Okay, couldn't hear. Any comments or questions on that? Roll call then, please.
Larson,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Zazada,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes. So the agenda has been approved. Moving on to agenda item D, presentations, we have none. Then moving on to agenda item E, public participation. All right, so how I'm recommending this works tonight is a lot of you filled out a public participation form. How it works with a public hearing is after public participation, we're going to do the consent agenda and we'll move into public hearing. At that point, Krasinski Construction and Endeavor are going to come up and they're going to do a presentation. We have heard so many questions that are out there that this is an opportunity for them to give a presentation, hopefully answer a chunk, probably not all of them, but a chunk of the questions people may have. And then after that, I'll open it up to public comment and everyone can come up. And if your question wasn't answered, you can reiterate, hey, I need to know X, Y, or Z. Council will keep track of the questions that they want to make sure that we get answered. Once everyone has had an opportunity to speak, and you don't have to have a public comment form to speak. Once everyone's had an opportunity to speak, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. We've got a pretty big agenda that we got to get through. The agenda item will come up again for the rezoning of this, and then council will work with Krasinski Construction and Endeavor to get all the questions possibly answered at that time. So to reiterate, if you filled out a public comment form, you might want to wait till public hearing, and you will definitely get a chance to speak. I'll be asking who wants to talk at that time. I have one person. I've tried to get a hold of all of you. Most of you know what I'm saying right now. I tried to get a hold of most of you ahead of time to let you know. But I do have one person that wants to speak during public comment. If you filled out a public comment form and you're just dying to speak at public comment, you're more than welcome. But I would recommend wait until we get to public hearing, if that makes sense. So with that, for public participation, I have former Mayor Jerry Smith. Mr. Smith, you want to come up? The mayor himself.
Thank you, Mayor Barnes. I know you have a hefty agenda, so I'll keep this relatively short. As this city council listens to what appears to be differing views on the data center proposal, I'd like to share something that could be called then, now, and what can be as this community moves forward into the future. While serving as mayor in 2018, it was a key year as we worked hard to jumpstart this region's economic development. At the same time, we began the process of attracting a new city manager. It wasn't long before Bill Nicholas assumed that role, and our ability to put together a development plan with other community organizations really blossomed in 2019. I recall in early 2020, when after having visited with a site selection committee in downtown Chicago, not knowing who they were representing, but we were armed with a community playbook outlining this city's positive potential. A couple months later, city manager walked into my office and said, "Guess who's coming to DeKalb? Facebook. Well, as you know, Facebook, now Meta, was the catalyst for dramatic expansion in DeKalb West Business Park. The benefits of having Meta, Ferrara, Amazon, Kraft Heinz have been unmistakably positive. In addition, more corporate interest is taking place right now in this city. While our local taxing bodies have endorsed this overall expansion, we've seen strengthened involvement with partners including Krasinski Construction, Krasinski Development, Commonwealth Edison, and Mortensen. So that's where we were a mere 8 or 9 years ago, and where we are today. Tonight, I commend this city on its transparency and its response in holding a number of public hearings on development issues. As council members, tonight, you will hear a host of sentiment, a number of views on the proposed data center. Kudos to Manager Nicholas and Mayor Barnes on the comprehensive research on Endeavor and Edge. Decisions are not easy. All of you know that. But as we look back on where we were, where we are, and where this latest chapter in positive economic development will take us, I urge you to approve the recommendation of your Planning and Zoning Commissioner and of your city manager. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Smith. All right, so just to be clear, if you filled out a public comment form, you can come up now. I just highly recommend, let's do the presentation from the vendor, and then everyone is gonna have a chance to speak. But I have to say, if you filled out a comment and you really wanna speak right now, you're more than welcome to come up to the podium. You'd rather do it now, sir? Okay, you got it.
Former Mayor Smith just gave me a good springboard for what I'd like to say this evening about this project. My name is Charles McCormick. I live on, where do I live? Pebble Beach Court in South Point. And I want to speak about Project Vector from two perspectives, the past and the current situation. I was the Assistant Superintendent for Business in DeKalb District 428 from 1986 to 1994. The focus of my job was on the school district's then very difficult financial circumstances. I saw what the community went through with an inadequate tax base and inadequate tax revenue. The district was borrowing the entire tax extension a year in advance to pay for current operations. The school district paid a lot of interest to the banks that loaned us that money, rather than having money to invest and make interest. The administration had cut budgets to the point that a principal told me he did not have enough money in the building budget to buy red and white construction paper for Valentine's Day projects. That seems silly, but it was a reality then. The community was offered and passed a referendum to increase the school district's tax rate by 90 cents, which is probably the biggest tax increase in the district's history. Things were so bleak that voters chose to accept that magnitude of personal financial burden to support the school district. There was at least one teacher's strike in that period. During the strike, a mother screamed at me after a board meeting that I should tell the Board of Education to give whatever was needed to end the strike because I was ruining her daughter's prom. That prom was not going to occur with the strike. Generally, there was a lot of conflict and contention all around. In 1986, the district's administration center was in the former St. Mary's Hospital at 145 Fisk Avenue. The district owned but could not afford to maintain the facility and sold it. It was essentially abandoned for the subsequent decades and now is the eyesore at 145 Fisk Avenue that may or may not be refurbished. Whenever you see that building, recognize its current condition. It is the product of an inadequate tax revenue in the past, and there it sits. My second perspective is one of currently living in a home in the South Point subdivision. I estimate that the northwest corner of Building 4 of the data center project will be approximately 600 feet from my house. And I support the project for the following reasons. I believe it is very important to increase the tax base to assure the continuation of the favorable trends that the revenue from the enterprise zone has been producing. Simultaneously, we see improvements in the community and lowering of our tax bills. Simultaneously.
Mr. McCormick, I have to hold people to 3 minutes of public participation. If you have 10 seconds left, I'll give it to you. Otherwise, would you mind finishing during public hearing?
Yeah, the other point I would make is that it's zoned light industrial. There are a lot of other things other than a data center that go there, and very frankly, I do not care to have more traffic or industrial development there that would entail something like a railroad extension.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for speaking. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move into agenda item F, appointments.
Mayor Barnes?
Oh, yes.
We have one more for public participation.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Roby, if you don't mind, I made an announcement. Oh, okay. All right, you got it.
Now, this will be super brief. I want to echo everything that Mayor Jerry Smith said. I have a 7 o'clock appointment for the graduation of Breakthrough Business that I have to attend, so I just wanted to get on the record
Okay.
and and just give my full support to the project that has been in discussion, and just on whatever I can do to, to help you all in that decision-making. Just want to lend my voice and say, please consider this, and please make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roby. All right, moving on to agenda item F, number 1, appointing Rhiannon Gruber to the DeKalb Public Library Board for a 3-year term, July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2028. Can I have a motion to approve this appointment?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Carlson, seconded by Alderman Burbick. Any comments or questions on that? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Carlson?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Burbick?
Yes.
Walker?
Yes.
Zazada?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Mayor Barnes?
Yes. All right, Rhiannon Gruber has been appointed to the library board. Excellent. Moving on to agenda item G, consent agenda. 1, minutes of the regular city council meeting of November 24th, 2025. 2, accounts payable and payroll through December 8th, 2025 in the amount of $4,395,702.01. 3, investment and bank balance summary through October 2025. 4, year-to-date revenues and expenditures through October 2025. 5, Crime-Free Housing Bureau Report, November 2025. And 6, approval of the City of DeKalb 2026 regular meeting schedule. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as is?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Powell, seconded by Alderwoman Zazada. Any comments or questions, council? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Powell?
Yes.
Burbick?
Yes.
Walker?
Yep.
Zazada?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Mayor Barnes?
Yes. All right, the consent agenda has been approved as is. Now we move into what everyone is here for. Agenda item H, public hearings, number 1. I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing at 6:13. And it's a public hearing on a proposed annexation and development agreement with JJK 343 LLC regarding approximately 560 acres of property generally located along the east and west sides of Illinois Route 23, north of Kesslinger Road and west of Kriego Road, Project Vector. Can I have a motion? Oh, I don't need a motion. I've opened the public hearing. So as I explained, at this point, I would love, Mr. Krasinski, if you want to come up with your team and give us a presentation. And again, a reminder, there's no interaction in this part. They're going to give their presentation. Council, we will have, when we hit our agenda item, all the interaction, ask our questions, questions that we've gotten from the public at that time. We'll have the ability to go through all those one-on-one directly with the developer himself. But for now, we thought it'd be very helpful if they can do their presentation to hopefully address some of the questions that all of you might have had over the course of this last week. And then after they're concluded, I'll open it up for public hearing, and anyone that wants to come up, we'll just go one by one, and you can come on up at that time. So without further ado, Mr. Krasinski.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Jerry Krasinski. I'm here on behalf of Chicago West Business Center, located at 2107 Swift Drive in Oak Brook, Illinois, obviously. So I'm excited to be here. And, talk a little bit more about the expansion. And we had a very interesting night at the Planning and Zoning meeting last week, and we're grateful for the unanimous approval from P&Z. But we learned some additional concerns after our presentation, and we want to address them. We want to follow through and address some of those particular sensitive issues. And further into the presentation, we'll make a more thorough introduction of some of our guests from Edge Data Center and Endeavor and sort of what their role is here. But let's begin with the development. And as Mayor Jerry Smith had mentioned, we've been working on this for a long time. The expansion really followed the direction and the growth of the city's plans to move forward. That is correct. And so the comprehensive plan in 2005 was issued to expand the industrial market to the southeast side. And with that, there were some additional support of that, like the Megasite grant. There was also an expansion of the enterprise zone. There was obviously the public hearing for the Commonwealth Edison's CARE project. So really, we're just moving forward in that direction. Now, let's talk a little bit about the specifics of this here project. Clearly, we've identified the proposed development is on 560 acres of what we're referring to as Region 2 and Region 3 of the Chicago West Business Center. And it's for a 4-building development that will be a multi-phased construction process. The total square footage is just under 3 million square feet when all 4 buildings are constructed. And there will be 2 substations that are associated with these buildings, much like Meta did behind their facility there. And you know, I also want to share with the council that in addition to this development and the building construction, we will also be doing other infrastructure work and improvements for the area. We will be improving Kriego and parts of Kesslinger Road. We will be expanding the sanitary district. There's obviously water improvements and other things that will be funded by our private dollars, but it really is all part of the big picture expansion for the area here. Now, you have heard that, you know, the reference to Project Vector, that's clearly what we, you know, earmarked this project initially, but we have felt very important that we didn't want to hide behind a code name. And really, Edge Data Center and Endeavor also felt very committed. They wanted to be at the forefront and introduce themselves and be part of the community here going forward. So although you may hear Project Vector, we constantly refer to it as that, but the other important message here to deliver is that we want to make a commitment statement. We want to do this responsibly, with sustainability, and sensitive to the surrounding area. And we recognize there is residential nearby, and we are doing things to be sensitive to that. And as you know, we could actually build a much higher density project on this site, continuing to meet codes and ordinances of the city of DeKalb. As an example, if this was warehouse and industrial buildings, this would be approximately 8 million square feet of buildings of that type, 45 foot tall, and you would be talking literally thousands of truck dock doors and trailer storage for those vehicles, and hundreds of automobile car parking for the employees. So one of the things that's very important to emphasize here, in this current plan, the floor area ratio is a common reference that we utilize. What's that building floor area ratio compared to the overall land basis, which is about 12% in round numbers over 560 acres. If this was industrial warehouse and distribution buildings, you typically see about 35% FAR. So again, we know that there are some residential areas adjacent, and we want to be sensitive, and we'll talk further about those details a little bit further in the presentation here. Now, I can tell you that Edge and Endeavor, they want a very high-quality facility, and both architecturally, what it looks like for the community, as well as attracting good employees, needless to say. And so in this facility here, what they propose to do is really create visual screen walls and extend parapet walls and add equipment screen walls on the roof. And for those views that would be seen from the street frontage and/or the nearby residence. This elevation here, these elevations, I should say, they really don't even indicate the additional berming and landscaping and the other elements that we're trying to do to soften the visibility of the site here. So I think that's something to certainly make note of. And as I mentioned, they want a good working environment so that they can attract the right workforce for this type of product here. High-quality work environment. They want to be part of the community, and in fact, these facilities are very clean, they're very safe, they're very secure, they're very environmentally controlled, obviously with computers and data centers, but even for the employees. And these are not just pretty pictures. I can tell you and can attest that I've been through the facility. The mayor, city manager have also toured this facility. I know they wanted to see firsthand, really to touch it and feel it and make certain that we're getting this here for the city of DeKalb.
Yeah, that's literally the entryway.
Pardon?
That's literally the entryway of where we were.
Yes, yeah,
Those
it
are
is.
pictures of what we saw. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So, now more about Endeavor and the relationship with Edge Data Center. And so what separates Endeavor is that they have a very strong commitment for sustainability and really looking at the forefront of this technology, bless you, and how to be advancing things from an environmental standpoint. So Lance Alvarez is going to get up and share a little bit more about Endeavor.
Thanks, Jerry. Thank you. Lance Alvarez with Endeavor Infrastructure. So it's kind of wonderful to be back in DeKalb. I spent many a weekend here traveling for my CPA review class at Northern back in the day. So anyway, great memories. Just want to say, we're excited to bring a project to the city that will really showcase our innovative technology and sustainability solutions. Our mission is to build sustainable infrastructure. You'll find we're a very transparent company. We're proud of our tech, and we really look forward to working with the community to demonstrate our accomplishments. The founder, Jake Karnmark, is forward-thinking. I always say you'll usually find him working on solving some problem that's 10 years into the future. Since I've known him, he's always thinking ahead. We're happy and very proud to be here. We are hoping that we can work with the community and share some of this technology, some of the things we've discovered, and we're looking forward to working together with everyone. Thank you.
I probably should have put this slide up before Lance came up. I should have reversed it, but this just demonstrates that this company is very committed and wants to be part of the community here. So Lance Alvarez, I should have shared, has been around the world, former employer for both Meta and Microsoft, so needless to say, he knows data centers, and he also is forward-thinking as well. Jeremy Pila is the director of their design and construction. So when you see the drawings with the extended parapet walls and screen walls and things like that, Jeremy, who will talk in just a moment here, is focused on really managing and controlling the design of the facility as well. And David Morton. Now, here's a gentleman that I've been impressed with, quite frankly, in charge of, what is the electrical side of the business, microgrids and things like that. I believe he has a few patents, so he will be up talking a little bit shortly here about the turbo cells. But clearly, these are leadership people that want to be part of the community, and I've learned that projects really are the people. That's really what the commitment is. So with that, Jeremy, why don't you chat about the waterless cooling?
Sure, thank you. I'm Jeremy, as Jerry introduced. So a little bit about our cooling system. So first of all, just to kind of set the foundation of the need for cooling in data centers. The data centers essentially house a lot of computers. As you know, if you have a computer at home, a laptop, you feel the hot air blowing out of the back of it. That's what these machines do. If we don't cool them, they'll quickly overheat the room, and the computers won't be able to function. So these are extremely critical systems for us and to the function of our facilities. So in support of that, one of our endeavor groups is ThermalWorks. ThermalWorks is the company that has designed and developed and created our cooling system. So it's an extremely high efficiency system. The challenge there was to use zero water, meaning we don't evaporate any water into the atmosphere for cooling. That's been a kind of a staple of cooling in data centers for a long time. So our challenge really to ThermalWorks was we want to be competitive with that type of cooling without using any of the water, and that's what they've done. So the ThermalWorks system is foundational to our facilities. It runs in all of our facilities and has been for years. We've got a team with decades of experience behind it, and the systems have just an excellent track record of operating safely and efficiently. A little overview of the components that you see on the screen, starting at the bottom. So obviously inside the data center is where the heat is collected, where it comes off of the servers. It's then transported through a loop of a working fluid to the chillers that are on the roof that actually expel the heat to the atmosphere. A couple of things that I want to note on that. One thing that comes up is the safety of the system and the materials that we use in it. The working fluid inside of that loop is a propylene glycol, not to be confused with an ethylene glycol. An ethylene glycol is a toxic chemical. We do not use that. It's a propylene glycol. It's a food grade product. It's used in a lot of our food products. It's used in lots of systems and just about any large-scale heating and cooling systems in hospitals, schools, et cetera. It's kind of a ubiquitous product. We're surrounded by it. It's very safe. It's biodegradable, and just not really an area of concern. That being said, another item that comes up is what if there is a leak? First of all, leaks in a computer room are not a good thing for us, right? That's a major problem. So it would be, the equivalent of a water leak in your house dripping right onto your work computer, right? You would address that very quickly. We've got lots of systems in place to detect those leaks. We've got 24-hour-a-day monitoring that would immediately address that, shut it down. We've got redundant systems, so we can shut down one system as soon as we identify any potential issue and keep our facility running. On top of that, just baked into our system architecture, we don't use a central plant like a lot of data centers do, meaning we don't have the huge pipes and the huge cooling towers running around the facility where a catastrophic leak could happen. We use smaller, discrete systems in each of our data halls that hold a much smaller volume of working fluid, so that if there were a leak, it would be, a catastrophic facility-wide type of leak would be impossible just with the architecture that we have. That, and on top of that, we use a high delta T system, which means our amount of liquid that we use per megawatt is about a third to a half of what's typical in the industry. So that was all I wanted to hit on the waterless cooling for now, and I'll hand it back to Jerry.
We're playing musical chairs really here, but now David Morton's going to come up and talk a little bit about the turbo cells.
Thank you for having us tonight. Pleasure to be here. Everyone is concerned about smelly, noisy, loud diesel generators. Well, not on this site. And, the question is why? And it's pretty simple. A typical diesel generator has 1,800 explosions per minute, quite literally. Every time it goes around, there's an explosion in the top of that thing. Diesel generator has hundreds of moving parts. We have 4. One of them's a fan. Makes things very simple, makes things very efficient, makes things very quiet. Because of those explosions they have, they're injecting, they're doing all kinds of things to make these controlled explosions happen on a diesel generator. For us, we don't have any of that, so how do we do it? Think of a weed burner, for lack of a better term. Shoots out a flame, makes heat, spins these 4 parts, 3 parts in a fan, around in circles. And that's it. Diesel generators are loud. Low frequency loud, meaning a low, like a bass, like in your house, home theater shakes the house. Diesel generators do as well. Very difficult to mitigate those sounds. Ours is high frequency, very high frequency, because we turn very fast. Those are easy to mitigate. In fact, most of our sound comes from the intake, which we have a big box, and we bounce the sound around in that box. Really can't get out. So it's very, very quiet in that sense. Other things that we can do here, and we've done, we've got a number of sites, including with the U.S. military, an F-35 base, Top Gun school for the Marine Corps. We can run these things and support the grid. We push power out into the grid. When there's a grid emergency or grid problem, we can push the power into the grid, support the grid, and make the grid much more stable around the surrounding community. If there is a tremendous problem on the grid, we'll cut off our system completely, and all that power we're using goes into your critical systems. We'll run on our machines until the grid effectively returns to normal, balances out, we turn back in, it's transparent. So there's a ton of support for the surrounding grid, the surrounding area, and the critical loads that you have as well as the critical loads we have. It's really a synergistic effect. That being said, we're a data center company that is an energy company that the founder, when I got hired, told me we're going to solve the most challenging problems in the energy industry today, and that's what we do. And data centers are a big part of it. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is William Bone with Jacob and Hefner Associates. We prepared the noise study, so we'll talk a little bit about sound. I'll give you guys a background on what we do to address noise concerns and what our model is capable of. So we look at any site, specifically this site, we look at what are the sources of noise, right? What are the primary sources of noise? So for a data center, it's usually 3 things. It's turbo cells in this case, the roof-mounted HVAC system, and then to a much lesser degree, traffic, right? There's some traffic, but not a whole lot. So we want to look at all three of those noise sources, and we want to look at it specifically in the context of the development site. So we've got a model that's called Sound Plan. It's a 3D model. We're able to use a true 3D model, and we're able to place those noise sources where they're actually going to be when the facility is built, both horizontally, so with each of the 4 buildings, and vertically, meaning we can place the rooftop HVAC systems on the roof, right? So that elevation difference between the pavement and the roof is taken into account with our model. Turbo cells are going to be, at ground level. So we're able to place those throughout the site, in real 3 dimensions. And then what we look at beyond that is the mitigation efforts, right? So there's a whole host of things, a toolbox, if you will, that we can employ on this site to mitigate the noise. The turbo cells do make noise. The HVAC systems do make noise. Traffic does make noise. So what we've done here is, part of it is the site planning. We're able to set these buildings as far back as we can from the adjacent roadways and some of the adjacent residents, just with the site plan, as we've talked about in the last meeting, and we will talk about more tonight. We're able to build into the sound model the actual final topography of the site, because we're designing, what the grades of the site are going to be, the finished floor elevation of the buildings. We have extensive berming throughout that we'll talk about later tonight as well. Anywhere from 7-foot high to 16-foot high berms will be located throughout the entire development. So we're able to build that into the model. Along with, we have a 22-foot high sound wall, acoustical sound wall around where the turbo cells will be on every building. That will mitigate noise, as well as, Jerry had mentioned it before, we've got a 5-foot high parapet on top of the building, and then on top of that, another 13-foot high acoustical wall for a total of 18 feet high that really fully encloses the roof HVAC systems, and provides more sound attenuation. So what we're able to do, and you can see on the screen here, in our model, all these little white boxes with the numbers, those are receivers or receptors, right? We're able to locate in our model where we want to take readings when we produce the noise from the 3 noise sources. And we've chosen 14 locations. Most of them, as you will see, are adjacent homes. The DeKalb ordinance, as well as the Illinois Pollution Control Board ordinance, is what really guides the design and what our sound levels can be daytime versus nighttime. And those are all at the property line. But we took it one step further to say, okay, we know we have to meet the ordinance at the property line, but what are the folks, across the street going to hear, beyond our property? So we specifically placed these receptors in all those locations that are shown. And the study has all those locations listed out with daytime levels, nighttime levels, both City DeKalb and the Illinois Pollution Control Board. Flip to the next. So here's results from using the City of DeKalb limit. So in the City of DeKalb noise ordinance, daytime limit is 60 dBA. So it's just a set number, 60 decibels during the day. And I believe that's 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock, and then 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., it's got to be 55 decibels. On the left there, you can see, point this, on the left, you could see all the receiver locations that were on that previous drawing. And then this is the daytime limit, nighttime limit, and then the actual noise produced and perceived at all of those receptor locations during the day, during the night. And then the column in between kind of shows like an equivalent sound, right? Because a lot of people don't know what a HVAC system sounds like or a turbo cell sounds like, so we tried to pick a common noise that everybody would understand. And as you can see, during the daytime, none of the receptor locations will be, the highest receptor locations at 13 and 14, and that's just over 50 decibels. So pretty close to 10 decibels below the limit. So not only are we meeting the requirements, but we're exceeding them. And that's the highest one. We have some 47s. We've got a 41.1, which is almost 20 decibels below what we're allowed to, the noise we're allowed to emit from the site. you know, just as an example, the 50.1, which is the highest, that's like a light rainfall. That's what that decibel level is. That's the kind of what, you know, you would equate that to. Nighttime, we're obviously lower because we have to be at night. 46.2, I believe, is the, no, I'm sorry, 47.5 is the highest, so 7.5 decibels lower than what we could emit from the site. And that's equivalent to like a quiet conversation. But we have a lot of receptor locations that are even well below that. So we've really taken a comprehensive look at it and made sure that, you know, the model is as accurate as possible from a horizontal spacing standpoint, vertical standpoint, where the actual equipment sits, where the noise from each piece of equipment, we're able to pinpoint. So if the turbo cell's 12 feet tall, we're able to pinpoint where that noise is coming out of it, so that it's as accurate as it can be. And by placing these receptors, you know, beyond the property limits, we want to make sure that we're even quieter for the neighbors. So I believe that's all I have from a noise standpoint.
So one of the things that I stated earlier is obviously we've been very sensitive to the adjacency of the other properties here. And one of the things that we did is we actually engaged a third party to do some sightline studies and really focus those studies again in sensitive areas. And unfortunately, it's a little hard to see on here, but we completed 8 different sections or studies, basically, from the street view to look at what the building impact would be. And clearly, you know, this has several benefits. Obviously, it helps with acoustics. It also helps with a visibility standpoint and things of that nature. So again, you know, one of the things that has occurred, I've exchanged an email recently with one of the adjacent neighbors, and we came up with another thought, a creative thought. Maybe we can do some microforce, some narrow bands of what, you know, is a very fast-growing force, so to speak. And these are the things that we wanted to share with you. And I think, you know, from our reputation, we want to make certain we're doing this as a partnership and helping address some of those areas as well. Now, clearly, we've been studying this site and this project for a long time. And you probably are not aware that these reports that we've done, traffic study, emission study, noise study, these line of sight, landscaping, photometrics, things of that nature, they amount to significant reports that, unfortunately, the staff really gets burdened to read through and vet all of these here things. But it only reinforces that, and we can't go through this level of detail through these hearings here. But it does reinforce that we've not taken this lightly. We've actually, you know, have designed, done preliminary engineering and those things so that we can come here and publicly make these here statements and commitments here going forward. So let's just set all of this aside for now that, you know, we've had some of these speakers get up and talk about this. And I'd like to take a little different perspective, and maybe this is a little bit more of the Jerry Smith perspective, but Krasinski Construction Company had the opportunity to come out here, and it was in the late 90s and the early 2000s, to build a couple of facilities here. Our family business is 52 years old. We came out here, did the Eisenman Encode project, and we also built the first building in Park 88 at 7-Eleven Fairview. And we liked the people here. We liked the area. We felt that the infrastructure was very good. We felt there were a lot of great benefits to the area. And so in 2005, after the comprehensive plan was approved to grow to the southwest side, we made a major investment. We started acquiring land. We were committed. We were really committed to being a part of the community. And there were several years that weren't so great, and let's face it, sometimes then, even some of the residents mentioned last Monday evening, there were some difficult times when the perception of DeKalb was not great, but we stuck with it. We participate in the I-39 corridor, we participate in the DeKalb County EDC, we Opportunity Unbound. In fact, there are some people in my office that probably said I have a little DeKalb in my blood. But we've had some other great opportunities building SK Tool and Ignatius Press through the years in the neighboring community. But the one thing that we have built, and that is not bricks and mortar, we built partnerships and relationships with so many people here. And we're very proud of that. And we are very, very proud of what we've accomplished in the last 5 to 6 years. It's been transformational. When you think about the great companies we've attracted, the infrastructure that we've built, the construction and permanent jobs and the tax dollars to buy more books and things of that nature, this was transformational. And we're proud of it, and we did this collectively. I mean, the reality of it is we didn't do it. We did it collectively with the city and county and other officials. So, you know, we're standing here before you this evening. What's next? And our world is changing. Technology is becoming a major part of the future. After several years of driving circles around down 4th Street, Kesslinger, back up Afton, Curler, it was like, what do we do next here in this area? So we took some bold moves, made additional investments for this region 2 and 3. And I should share with you that over the past several months, just to reinforce how our society is changing, there's been some very impressive announcements, such as in September, quantum computing is coming to the south side of Chicago. That will transform that south side area that desperately needs some help. And they're coming there for quantum computing because of the talent and the school districts and all of those things there. In October, you may be aware of this, but NVIDIA and Oracle just created a partnership with the Department of Energy to build a supercomputer for AI in Argonne in nearby Lamont, Illinois. So these technologies are just transformational. Now, they have the potential of solving major problems, cancer, predicting catastrophic weather, all these great things. And DeKalb has the potential to be in the same league as some of these other developments when we bring in partners like Edge Data Center and Endeavor to build these super facilities. And we would then convert what would be $40,000 a year in real estate taxes in agricultural to multi-million dollar benefits to the community, jobs and great things as well. So based on my 25 years of involvement out here, I think this is going to be the most important decision moving forward to project, securitize the next 25 years of DeKalb. So with that, I look forward to your support this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Krasinski. All right, at this point, I'm going to open it up to the public. So this is a great opportunity. If you want to speak, you can raise your hand. I'll call you up. Just a reminder, there's no interaction here. This is an opportunity for you to talk directly to council, your elected representatives. We'll take notes. We'll try and figure out what questions we want to make sure get answered. And then, if you don't mind, if you heard someone already express exactly what it is that you wanted to talk about, if you don't mind leaving it at that, that'd be great. But if you want to speak, I'm not going to limit anyone whatsoever to be able to speak during the public hearing. We do have a huge agenda in front of us besides just this particular topic, so I'd like to get through it all. But with that, at this point, like I said, I'll go one by one, bring people up. Let us know what you want to talk about and share your thoughts, and then I'll call the next person up. So, sir, you were the first one to raise your hand, I think. If you don't mind just stating your name, just so we know, put a face to the name when you come up to the podium, that'd be appreciated.
Well, my name is George Keene, and I'm an old guy. I've had a long career. I was a college professor. I was a data analyst for the IIT Research Institute, back when they went by that name. I have specialized in both statistics, analysis, software creation. I can code in 5 languages, all of that. That's who I am. Who I am not is a guy who has a dog in this race. I have no reason to believe that the administration or the board has anything but the best interests of DeKalb in its heart. That's my starting point. By the same token, as far as the Krasinskis and their efforts, I consider them, on the basis of things I found, to be solid citizens. They're in the business to make money, and that is not a sin in my books. They've done some good things, and I have to come down on that. But there's kind of some questions and comments that I want to make. Maybe some of these things you know, maybe you don't, but I'll go through them as fast as I can. The big one is follow the money. There's a kind of a concept that there must be money here because it's such a big ball of money. I mean, you know, if you're Zuckerberg, as of Friday, you were worth $239 billion personally. So the $1 billion to build the Meta Center is probably in his sock drawer. So that center is a little different. But the point that I think that we want to make here is that the money is made principally by the developer, the contractor, and the people who provide all of the infrastructure stuff. That's where the big money is. And there can be margins in it that are as big as 50%. I don't think that's happening, Jerry, for you. But I suspect it isn't bad. These guys are really good businessmen, by the way. We'll get to that. What's not really highly lucrative is actually running the data center. The profit margins can be as low as 10 to 20%. And I know if you farm, you'd like to see 20%. But nevertheless, that's not anything compared to what it could be for the developer. That's just how business is. And the number of jobs, well, Krasinski Construction are good guys. You should build a monument to them because they're a general contractor. And when they hire subs, they hire them here and close region in. That's a good thing. But you do have to realize that those jobs go away. They come in, they build the thing, and they go build something else. Maybe they'll build it here, maybe they won't. But that's the job thing. The estimates for what it takes to run a 100-megawatt hyperscale center is about somewhere between 20 and 50 people that cover 24 hours. Now you divide that by three shifts, and you got to cover 7 days a week. So at any one time, you might only have 12 people bumping around inside that big building, because its oversight comes from away from the site. The building is packed with all kinds of programmed logic controllers and other devices that babysit the whole process and watch it. It's almost coming right up on neural network stuff, where you're looking at all of the kinds of things that might feed into a failure, even small ones. I mean, you have to take it into account that the Meta Center may have as many as 8,000 servers, as many as that, and they're all generating heat. But remember that their life cycle is only 4 to 6 years. I don't know what the standard deviation is on that one for the stats people, but I don't know how many of them go dead after a year, how many of them go 10 years. That would expand that business of the deviation from the average, which would be 4 to 6 years. But they have to be kept up. There is an expense to running the center. So you can begin to see how that goes. There's another factor. Because it is so easy, well, not easy, it is possible to make a lot of money building data centers, developing and building data centers. And the problem is that there are people who are not as scrupulous and as honest as the Krasinskis. They just go and build the thing. They don't care where they build it, and they'll go to some little rural place that's dying on the vine, promise them some tax, that we'll give you some tax pay money if you'll give us some breaks and the rest of that. They build the place, and then they split. Now, in the Chicago and East Coast areas, there is a shortage of data centers, and building them makes big sense, and they are likely to be profitable. But when you go to Waco, Texas, or Bulls Bum, South Dakota, and build it, that's another story. And already, some of those places are barely making, they don't have margin. And some of them have negative margin. They're in danger of going out of business. So this thing is gotten to be a big deal, sort of like the Dutch with the tulip bulb things back in the 16th, 17th century. It can be like that. So you have to kind of stay awake here. Okay, we talked about that. The power thing, which I haven't heard addressed. Look, this all starts back probably with the CARE development. If you're a board member and you don't know what that was, find out. When you do that, the big player is ComEd, because they have to produce the power that this thing is going to use. These centers are actually named and classified by how many megawatts, millions of watts, that it takes to run them. Now, there's 1,000 watts in your hairdryer. If you have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in this area, you probably use 12 to 15,000 watts. That's it. So we're going to have 4 units. They might be 50 megawatts each. Don't know. And incidentally, that's kept as a kind of a secret almost nationally. If you want to say, well, how many hyperscale data centers were built in 2024? You won't know. You can't know, because all of these places are all funded by private capital. They don't have to tell anybody anything, and they don't want to. So it's really hard to tell. So in any 1,000-volt power line to come out this way, that's a lot. And then having the substations, 2 substations for the project, that's because you have to step that down to a level that you can use. And with them, then comes the ability to create power. Now, the turbo power, I would really love to know a little more about that, because ComEd has natural gas turbines to produce power, but they only produce it when there is an overload, because they are expensive to run. Very. And boy, are they loud. Now, from the description of what the turbo is using, sounds great to me. And all the care, for the sound abatement, I think is a great idea. So I think we're probably okay there. Let's see. Oh, the heat extraction. I'm really, really, really interested in that. I'm familiar with that closed water system, and it is, in my evaluation and research, that's a great way to do it. It does solve a problem. But what I don't know is, I kind of assumed you had the closed loop, you got the heat out of the racks, and then you had heat exchanger, and on the other side of that was more like a mono-refrigeration system, where refrigerant was in contact in the heat exchanger with the closed loop, and that carried the heat out, and then there was actually just forcing air over the business on the other side. You'll answer that for me later. But nevertheless, it's a little, on the other end, I know kind of a lot about that, because I was involved in some projects at the Rockefeller Center and the Chrysler Building. At any rate, there are a lot of questions.
And George, I'm not going to rush you at all. Just want to make sure we got a room full of people that
Sure,
want to talk
yeah.
too.
No, I'm
And
coming.
happy to make a connection with the developer for
Yeah.
some of the, especially the details that I think you're looking
Okay.
for. Yeah.
A name for you to check with is Kevin Mullen. He's a member of the House of Representatives. He's part of the House Energy and Commerce Committee. And he's led a group of 20 congressmen, both Republicans and Democrats, as far as I know, and came up with a bunch of questions to be asked, and I addressed them to the board. One, are you working with developers and utilities to assure that grid construction doesn't get passed through to households and small businesses? I mean, after all, ComEd does not do this out of the goodness of their heart. Somebody has to pay the bulldog. So that's a real thing. Second one, have you discussed things like wages, minimum data center usage, separate electricity rate classes, or upfront cost recovery to protect the consumers? Third, what steps are you taking to ensure transparency of contracts and tariffs so consumers can understand the impact on them? And now for a personal statement. I know you had to sign non-disclosure agreements. I understand that. I mean, you can't make this thing work if you don't do some of that. But folks, I got to tell you, it's a bad look. I mean, I'm not going to say this, but there's certainly people around who would like to know who you were working for. And that's just how that is. And I'm not saying you had anything evil in your heart. I don't think you did. So don't make me think I'm attacking you here. But nevertheless, you got to pay attention. It would be really great if the board could get together and decided what their bottom line was on a non-disclosure agreement. Maybe there are things they want you to not talk about that you think really in the interest of your citizens you do need to talk about. And if you could agree on what those boundaries were before you get pushed with it, I mean, we can't even ask you if you signed a non-disclosure agreement. That's how powerful they are. So you got to be careful. Load forecast, does it really reflect the uncertainties? Because they're out there. As a matter of fact, the whole notion of quantum computing is going to make a great, big, huge difference, and suddenly you may not need that great big building. Finally, how do you keep track of all this? Not just now, but in the future. And now just really quickly, existential dread is what it says here. Change is so rapid in this. Think about it. How many computers have you purchased and owned in your lifetime? I don't even know how many for me, but then again, I'm a computer guy. But 5, 7, 10? That's probably not unlikely. I mean, I started with a trash 80, good grief, I don't know what you did. At any rate, when you drive on Route 23, going south, you get around the airport, I want you to look to the right. Because then you got the empty building problem. So that's it. That's what I got to say.
Thank you, George.
Thank you.
Ma'am, go ahead, ma'am. You could just state your name when you come up. Hi.
My name is Kathy Stelford. I live in Sycamore. I'm the founder of Oak and Acres Wildlife Center and Tails Humane Society in DeKalb. For over 40 years, I've tried to be the voice for wildlife in our county, and I hope I've done a pretty good job. When you talk about neighbors, these are your neighbors too, okay? There's a bald eagle's nest. First year, this year, fledged 2 eaglets. Your mile by mile compound will be taking up part of their hunting territory. It takes them almost 6 years to go from being a hatchling to actually mating with another eagle and building a nest. 6 years they've been waiting for this. The man who chronicled this on Facebook, his name is Tom Schrader. He named them, not names I would have chosen, but he named them Harry and Meghan, okay? This is Harry and Meghan at Afton Forest Preserve. And I know our Forest Preserve has already stated some opposition to the, on Facebook, on their Facebook page, to some of the problems that they see headed to Afton because of this. But anyway, I know I can't change progress. It sounds like you guys are good guys and stuff, but I've always wanted to at least be a voice for wildlife and tell you that these are your neighbors too. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm going to go with the guy in the glasses. Right there in the middle? Yes, you. Oh, I'm sorry, I just saw glasses. You're too far back. Yeah. As you can see, I need better ones.
So hi, my name is Megan Renwick, and I've lived in DeKalb County my entire life. My family has also lived in DeKalb County for 5 generations. We've had farmland here since 1895. I do also work for Oak and Acres Wildlife Center. I've been a licensed rehabber myself now for a few years. Our goal is to take in orphaned and injured wildlife from the northern Illinois area, but we have a primary focus in DeKalb County. That means about 46% of our patients come from DeKalb County, but every year our number of total intakes increases. Between 2020 and 2025, we have seen a 40% increase in our patients. That means that in 2020, we took in about 1,300 animals by the end of the year. Now we are taking in 2,000 animals. When we look at the circumstances of admission, we actually see that about 90 to 95% is due to human cause. Whether it's indirect or direct, unintentional or intentional, it's us. So that means of the 850 animals admitted to Oak and Acres from DeKalb County alone, 750 to 800 are brought in because of human causes. And that's only those that are reported. Most of these are truly unintentional. Mistakes happen, accidents happen, and from those we should learn. But every year, the number of intakes still continue to increase. I'm afraid that the proposed data center will contribute to 560 acres of habitat loss, and that light and sound pollution, both of which will disturb our natural environment along with the wildlife in it. That's why when we take a look at how much we've already impacted our local wildlife here in DeKalb County and take a look at the environmental harm data centers are causing, we should be doing everything in our power to protect all of the residents in DeKalb County, especially those who do not have a voice to be able to speak here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Who else? Mrs. McGill. Don't worry, we'll get to everybody, so.
Hi, my name is Michelle McGill. I'm a lifelong resident of DeKalb and currently a resident of the South Point Greens neighborhood. I've lived on Pebble Beach Court for 12 and a half years. I was at last week's meeting and I appreciated hearing all the information from that, and I've taken the week to think about the project and what it can do for the city as a whole. I think the financial aspect for the school district and just the community overall is really wonderful. I don't oppose the project entirely. I just think it's poorly placed next to a residential area. Our neighborhood's gonna endure the noise, lights, and traffic loss because of this data center, and traffic because of the data center. And as a resident who is living less than 800 feet from the proposed data center, I have concerns still, even after hearing some of this tonight. I just want to make sure that there's a guarantee that residents are going to be able to voice their concerns even after this meeting tonight and before this is voted on. I really appreciate Endeavor wanting to be a good neighbor. Just looking at the documents and hearing the more information about the noise, I just want to reiterate that that noise is going to be constant. And so just when looking at where they had put that little marker for the noise, that's going to be rainfall for me 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, or like just a buzz. It's not going to be similar to like a car or truck passing by or even a train, which we have out there too. It'll be all day and night. I really don't want to hear this at my home. I've been out at the Metadata Center and heard that noise as well. I just don't think that my neighbors and I will be able to filter it out as easily as it seems for those that are building it. It could cause stress, anxiety, and sleep disruption. Also, upon studying the documents that have been given out regarding the berms that are being placed, the map's not up there, but from my home, I could see there's not a berm on the side of my neighborhood or on the other side of that detention pond. It was also presented positively that there is a deeper setback and plan to minimize the physical presence of the large data halls. But having the setback in Region 2 west of Route 23 actually means that it's a lot closer to that residential area in my own home. I think that this encroaches on our life in our neighborhood. Having those industrial structures just about 2 football fields away is a really big change. One that many of the citizens at South Point Greens are not asking for. So I would like to ask you if there would be a guarantee to build the berms higher so that we won't be able to see or hear these buildings or see the substation from our home. With the present mapping, I don't see this as a top priority. And the one that was shown only was going to be about 8 feet tall. So this doesn't really shield my home or the residents on my street from these buildings. Considering that the homes aren't really built at that street level, they're built up, I'm going to be easily able to see over that berm, and then when I'm on my front porch, drinking coffee in the morning. Like I said, there's no berm between the detention pond and Building 4. That's closest to my property, and I think that's completely unacceptable. It was pointed out last week that property values will not be negatively affected by this, but I'm just kind of unable to wrap my head around that one. Trees may be planted on these berms, but it takes the time for trees to grow. I know Jerry had mentioned that he talked to someone about building, like those micro forests, and I'm really into that one. But in the meantime, residents will have endured the sights and sounds of construction for years, and then the effects of the data center. Being placed in that residential area indefinitely is troublesome to me. So I'm really requesting that mature evergreen trees, or again, the microforest, be placed on those berms. This project was brought to public attention just over 3 weeks ago, and I've spent a lot of time thinking about that. What's the rush to push this through tonight? I understand that this data center has many, many positive financial implications for the city, but why is our neighborhood being forced to sacrifice for the whole city's gain? And what is our neighborhood gaining from this? It is important for city officials to hear and understand the detriment that this is causing to citizens in this immediate area, and I'm asking you to delay the vote on the project to address the concerns from the citizens of Ward 4 and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you. Right there, yes.
Hi, I'm Annalise Fulmer, and I have lived here my entire life. And I just have a lot of concerns about this data center. I really could talk at length of the repercussions it'll have on our natural ecosystems and our wildlife populations, but there's also going to be effects on our community too. How do we know that these tax-funded money actually comes into our community? How are we going to prevent sorry, a lot of these communities are not communities, corporations lobby for tax breaks, and how do we know that that tax-funded money is actually going to come to our education and other community resources? Also, how are we going to know that utility bills won't skyrocket? Clark County in Illinois saw a 21% increase in their bills because Meta bargained a cheaper deal with the power company for bulk power sales. So that burdened the community with higher bills without reaping any economic benefit. Also, the jobs that they're hoping to create will probably be low wage and short term for the construction of the building, but after the construction, there's only going to be 100 people inside the building, like the first guy had mentioned, and that I got that number directly out of the 2020 EDC annual report that you guys published about Meta, and they promised 100 operational jobs, but those jobs aren't going to even be accessible to the people who need the jobs here. They're going to be technical jobs that you need to go to school for people who need jobs here. I mean, they could have gone to school for it, but we need accessible jobs as well. And then last, like, I don't know, sorry. The claims to be energy efficient, there's no data center that's actually energy efficient. I mean, you can throw around claims that you are, but there's not like a commercial energy efficient, like that's in the works right now. So, and you'll still be using natural gas, which is still a fossil fuel, which will, like, although it's cleaner, it's still a fossil fuel and you're still emitting pollution into the air. So there's a lot of concerns from me, and I just want the best for our community. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. I think I had, your hand up right over there first. Yeah, come on up. It's weird trying to pick people out of the audience, so forgive me.
Hi, my name is Stacy. Those eagles that Kathy showed you, I watched them build that nest. I watched those babies be born, and I watched them fledge this year. 500 million birds in North America are killed every year by bird strikes, a lot of the time from pollution and noise that you guys are going to emit into this community. I heard what you're going to do to try to help humans, but what are you doing for our wildlife? How are you going to turn down your lights so that during their migration, they don't die? That is what I would like addressed. So I ask that you push this vote, and I ask that you guys focus more on wildlife, because like Kathy had said before, they are also your neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I had the gentleman over, well, I'm gonna have him first and then you, ma'am, okay? Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kevin Bungie. I've been a resident of this county for 40 years. I raised 4 boys in this county. Founded my civil engineering firm 34 years ago with a branch in Sycamore. But 65% of the revenue in my business is for public taxing bodies. It's the majority of our business. I also served as your interim city engineer earlier this year for 7 or 8 months. But to be clear, I have no connection to this project whatsoever. The gentlemen behind me don't know me. I'm not here for them. Meta is a good comparison for this project just based on the scope and what it does. Just a reminder, Meta paid $31 million in taxes to this county last year. 19 million of that went to the DeKalb School District. Lesser amounts went to DeKalb County itself, City of DeKalb, and Kishwaukee Community College. City of DeKalb's EAV has grown from $548 million in 2018 to $1.34 billion in 2024, mostly due to what's happened on the south side of DeKalb, if not all of it virtually. This project, when done in about 2032, will produce 350 to 400 full-time jobs. Those jobs are projected to pay $75,000 or more. That's a good employer for the county of DeKalb, for the city of DeKalb and the county. This project, once it's up and running, will pay RE taxes, real estate taxes to DeKalb agencies equivalent to more than 3,100 homes. That's a huge benefit to the city of DeKalb. Something that's come up quite often, I've been following it online, is about water. They've already covered it, but I do want to point out, the only water this site's going to use is what the employees use. It's going to be about 6,000 gallons a day, which is equivalent to 20 homes. I keep seeing the numbers about how much water they're going to use and pump through it. Not this one, not from what I understand of the technology. It's going to use the equivalent of 20 homes. And just as another comparison, if this land weren't developed for this and weren't even industrial, say it were single-family homes, you'd get about 1,400 homes on that acreage. If those homes were taxed at what my property is, what my home is taxed, that comes to a total of $14 million in real estate taxes. This one development is generating more than $31 million for just the county. That's all I have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am. You. And then the person outside the door, I'll hit you next. I didn't see you.
Oh, you don't?
No? Okay. All right.
Sorry, thought you raised your hand.
Hi, Uni Dore. I've lived in Sycamore, Illinois for 20 years. I was not planning to come up here, but impromptu. So in the paper, the councilman said that he wished people would read up on the resources before they came up here to speak. And I've looked, and there is nothing out there for me to read up on. The only thing I could find is that the cooling system that they're going to use was produced or put out there in 2023. So 2 years it's been used. Not long enough, the product has not been out there long enough to say, oh, this system's going to work, it's not gonna fail. The business that my husband and I do, we install products all the time, we research products. They always fail after 3 years, always. So this cooling system that I found has only been out in the market since 2023. And they want to test it in our community. That's not good enough for me. There's also, I'm missing tons of data on where is this cooling system, where's the reports on that it's been used in communities? And that it's been working in different communities. I can't find that anywhere. Are they happy with the usage of this cooling report? The dual system, how they said that you guys were gonna build a, what was the terminology that you used? You're going to create a backup system in case, you know, these small little systems fail. Well, you say, I'm only gonna say one backhanded comment. I was a little underwhelmed by your presentation. I was actually expecting data-driven reports and factual information on how these cooling systems were going to perform within 10, 15, 20 years. But the only thing that you presented was a bunch of marketing words. That's all you did. I was very underwhelmed. That is the only backhanded comment I'm gonna say. But, you know, you talk about this is going to transform DeKalb. How is this going to transform DeKalb? Just visually, it's hideous. And so generations down, they're gonna come and drive up to this landscape, and people are really gonna say, wow, DeKalb is transformed because this came to our community. No, no one's gonna say that. No one at all. It is hideous. There is no community that wants this monstrosity in their town, especially a town that is, that's got natural preserves, that DeKalb County is supposed to thrive on the environment and the animals. To me, for my brain, that doesn't compute. It doesn't make any sense. So the only thing that I ask you, as a representative of our voice, DeKalb community members, please don't make a decision until they're able to provide the following. Cooling system reports, like how this is actually going to work by data-driven reports that this is successfully going to work. Full electrical load and transmission impact study. Like, how is it going to impact our community? I can't find that anywhere. For a multi-billion-dollar company, you would think that they would do their research and provide this documentation. If it exists, then my rant is pointless, but I could not find it anywhere. Stormwater management, 100-year floodplain. DeKalb County is a floodplain community. Where is your stormwater management plan? We have wetlands everywhere. I want to see the impact that this building will have when you, in the in our floodplains. Let's see, especially because we have Afton Forest Preserve really close by, and you have neighborhoods close by. There's already an issue with the quality of water in Sycamore, so now we have another thing that we have to worry about as a community member. Traffic impact study and your emergency response plan. Where's that at? I couldn't find that anywhere. I really couldn't find a detailed economic benefit or a draft of how this was going to bring revenue in for the city and how it was going to improve our town. A decommission plan for when the facility has reached its end of life cycle, because it will. This is not like an IBM building or Apple, where it's a growing community where you have thousands of employees working there. This is not that type of facility, unfortunately. This is just metal and electric. They will fail. Hopefully they'll last 5 years, but from the products that we install, maybe you'll get a year out of it, maybe you'll get three years out of it, I don't know, but where is the decommission plan for when all of these computers stop working? So, when this was brought out to the public, I was a little surprised with how quickly things moved without the data to show us that this is a sound decision. There's no data out there. Please show it to me and show how this is going to be a positive impact for our community. Because right now, everything that has been said and presented is just marketing. There's no peer-reviewed information. There is no data. So this, which leads me to believe that honestly, bottom line, it has only to do with money. And you picked DeKalb because you guys think, oh, we're really far out in the country. They're not smart enough to figure out that this impact is detrimental until it's too late. And there's nothing that we can do about it.
There's others that want to talk tonight.
So,
Could you move some of these comments along?
I would like to, sir, but she gets the right to talk.
yes,
Believe me, especially if
I
they're
think I've only taken like
being called
4
stupid.
minutes when there was-
You're almost at 8 or 10 now, ma'am.
Just talk to us. Just talk to us.
So that's all I wanted to say.
All right, appreciate you, ma'am. Thank you. All right, next, I'm going to go over here. Melissa?
Good evening, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Melissa Medio, and I'm the Executive Director of the DeKalb County Economic Development Corporation. I'm here to, and I'm also the Administrator of the Enterprise Zone. I'm here to express strong support for Project Vector, an investment that brings significant economic, technological, and community benefits to DeKalb. I think we saw a lot with the presentation. There are studies that have been done. This was not a whimsical, I think, in order to go through all of those reports would take a lot more time tonight. So I want to make sure that we think about the major economic impact and the tax revenues and returns that we're going to see. Project Vector represents a transformative investment in DeKalb County, and Illinois. According to PricewaterhouseCoopers study, referenced in a recent Crain's Chicago Business article dated November 15th, 2025, in 2023 alone, data centers generated $1.9 billion in state and local taxes in Illinois. $1.9 billion. If we use Meta as a guide, which paid almost $31.5 million in taxes in 2024 alone, it's safe to say that Project Vector will generate tens of millions of dollars that will directly support schools, transportation networks, public safety, and other quality of life initiatives, be it park districts, be it road development. There's a lot of benefits that tens of millions of dollars will bring to DeKalb County and support Illinois. These are tangible, measurable benefits for DeKalb residents. Next, if we consider the impact on jobs and workforce development, the project will create hundreds of construction and skilled trade jobs during the multi-year development phase, along with high-quality, high-paying permanent positions in technology and operations. As part of being in the enterprise zone, and if any abatement is given, there are certain requirements from a minimum wage standpoint that has to be met. For a data center, it has to be 160% on average for salaries. So there are a lot of benefits in the high-paying, high-quality jobs. Those are monitored on an annual basis. The number of jobs that are created have to be met annually, and then the salary ranges are as of January 1st of any given year. So those are things that continue on for the entire point of the abatement, and there are checks in place that if those are not met, then the abatements don't happen. And even with those, it's again, tens of millions of dollars as we've seen what Meta has brought. The careers that these jobs bring, beyond the permanent jobs, the careers also bring the dollars to our community for the people that are here in the construction for multiple years. So those are dollars being spent in our community while the construction is going on. And it's hundreds of jobs that are brought in over 5 to 6, 7 period of years. Further, DeKalb County have a long history of innovation. I think we think about barbed wire. Barbed wire wasn't tested before it was went, but look at how it changed the national landscape of our country. So I think innovation has, what we have done in DeKalb from an innovative standpoint is our legacy. That's our history. To see something that is innovation being brought back to our city of DeKalb, the county, it's huge. And even thinking about celebrating the 250th anniversary, barbed wire is all over the place. So innovation, we should be proud to bring things that are innovative. And I think this data center isn't your typical data center. And what they've looked at and what they're bringing is huge. As we've heard, it's waterless. It's a closed-loop cooling technology system. So we're not looking at water issues that you see with a lot of data centers. The TurboCell technology will maximize efficiencies. They've done research. They didn't just say, oh, we're going to go test this. There's years of research that, again, I don't think that they're going to be able to bring and show at a public notice, but know that any business that creates product, they're doing years of research and testing on items like this. They're not just having DeKalb be a guinea pig. So I think it's important to know that we're working with a business and a company that's done years of research before they take it to market. What many residents may also not be aware of is our energy supplied by ComEd is actually transmitted through PJM. PJM is a regional transmission organization that coordinates the movement of wholesale electricity in all or parts of 13 states and the District of Columbia. Our rates in Illinois are affected when a data center goes into any of those 13 states or DC. They're drawing from the power that is supplying ComEd. By allowing a data center that's innovative, sustainable, and modern in DeKalb, we also receive that tax benefit and not just the increased energy cost. And lastly, it's important to note Regions 2 and 3 and Chicago West Business Center have received responsible land use approvals. The site was added to the DeKalb County Enterprise Zone with full approval from the Illinois Department of Agriculture for industrial use. This approval confirmed the land's suitability for responsible job-creating development. Project Vector meets all environmental, infrastructure, and planning standards reflecting thoughtful, long-term growth. In summary, Project Vector is a forward-looking, responsible development that delivers economic growth, community investment, sustainable technology, and long-term job creation. It positions DeKalb and DeKalb County as leaders in the digital economy while providing real benefits through tax revenue that improves daily lives for all residents. DCEDC strongly encourages advancing this project and recognizes its potential to contribute meaningfully to DeKalb County's continued economic vitality. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Yes, Tanisha.
Oh, thank you. I won't be near as organized as Melissa was, but I did want to point out, again, Tanisha Clegg, Executive Director of Family Service Agency. So I'm here to speak in support of this project on behalf of Family Service Agency of DeKalb County. My main reason for speaking here tonight is we're a social service nonprofit organization. We serve the clients across DeKalb County, all of the clients in the city of DeKalb, all wards, all of the areas in which you serve. So I want to speak to that for a moment. I apologize, my thing doesn't want to work. Talking about the amount of money that came into just the school districts with Meta, $19 million, I believe it was said, in 1 year. The amount of students and youth in your wards that were served by those dollars had to be astronomical. I can't even imagine what was done there. The number of clients that benefited or will benefited from, and I'm using Mortenson Meta as my example here because that's what I have to go off of, that would have benefited from services that were provided by philanthropic efforts that occurred while Mortenson was here and now as Meta continues to be here. I would challenge each of you as aldermen to try to find out how many clients were served with philanthropic giving of these organizations. Now, I understand change is hard and it's scary, especially when you have something like this going on. But as Melissa mentioned, this area has been slated for industrial development since 2022. If we don't want a data center there and we don't want this there, what do we want there as a community? Because we made a decision in 2022 that it was industrial. So if it's not a data center, what is it? And I think that, there have been other things that have not come to fruition, that have not moved through. But I think that a lot of the things that I've heard in the last 2 meetings that I've attended have been much more positive than what we've heard in the past from some of these other organizations that have come forward. A couple of things that I just want to share from my perspective and my organization is we're slated to serve approximately 4,000 youth this year. I would put anything on the line that 85% of those youth are City of DeKalb residents, and they attend a school in District 428. So those tax dollars and those funds and supports, that's community giving from Meta, Mortenson, and I'll be honest, I did a little Googling, like probably most of you did, to see if there was philanthropic giving and corporate sponsorships and things that happened from Edge and Endeavor, and everything I saw and could find was to that effect. So I can only hope that that continues to be the way it goes. But again, as I said, 80+% of the clients that we're serving are in D428. The other thing, just to kind of take it a step further, is Community Action Program. If you're familiar with Family Service Agency, we serve low-income, impoverished individuals, and our goal is to bring them out of poverty in our Community Action Program. 40% of those in our Community Action Program that are employed and are 18 and above work at Amazon. That's important. That's critical that we bring jobs for individuals. If we want to bring them out of poverty and we want to provide quality services, we have to have the funding to do that. So I know a lot of comments have been made about it's all about money, it's all about money. It's about business and it's about community. So that's all I wanted to say tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanisha. I've got, but you're in the brown right there? Yes, yes. No, ma'am? Yes, no? You pointing right now. Raise your hand again. It's you, yes. We almost need a number one or like an auction or something like that. I'm sorry. Price is right. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Lizzie Maldonado. I'm a neighbor, parent, and homeowner here in DeKalb, and I'm here to urge you to reject this proposal for Project Vector. One quick note before I start is to the claim that the company has been spending years researching these products before testing them on us. Both of these companies were founded just a few years ago, so how many years of research could they possibly have done on what they want to bring here? The Meta Center may have spurred growth for the city, but we are paying for that growth with higher utility bills and enormous water use, while they get big breaks and incentives on their part for the cost. These folks have a nice glossy presentation, but I doubt very much that ComEd rate hikes were part of the Meta presentation. I don't think they roll that out in the beginning. You find out about that later. And yet, here we are with really increased utility bills all across, obviously, the city, the state, et cetera. There's been a lot of discussion about how this site won't use the kind of water that Meta uses, and the developers of this project say that they'll run servers with natural gas, but that's not zero impact. It locks us into years of fossil fuel dependence at the very time that Illinois as a state is attempting to move away from all of those sources. In 2021, Illinois committed to transitioning away from fossil fuels, aiming for a clean power standard and net zero emissions in future decades. That's through CEJA. Approving a gas-powered mega data center here would directly contradict that transition. Like other large data center proposals, Project Vector promises a handful of permanent jobs, but minimal long-term benefits compared to the burdens that it will place on our infrastructure. Meanwhile, the tax incentives are so generous, like 55% tax abatements for 20 years, and state-level sales tax exemptions on building materials, other incentives on power, et cetera. So while the company stands to gain massive value and profits, our community will bear the cost of wear and tear with heavier traffic, louder facilities, increased demand on emergency services, roads, and local infrastructure, with little guarantee of any lasting local benefit. Small cities like DeKalb don't make these kind of deals because they're good for us. We make them because we really have to. We're pressured to. We are chronically underfunded. As you have heard from so many people here tonight, we are really desperate for revenue, obviously. Towns just like ours all over the country are. And we are, obviously, these corporations know that. That's why they come to communities like ours, precisely because they can demand generous tax breaks, incentives, and subsidies that we would never dream of offering our own residents, workers, or small businesses. I'm not against economic development or the future. I'm not afraid of change. I work in technology. I'm not worried about that. But if this company wants to invest in DeKalb, make them pay their fair share. They say they want to be good neighbors and invest in our community, but let's be real, they would not be investing here without a massive public giveaway. We do deserve economic growth. We deserve strong schools, we deserve jobs, we deserve investment, but not by making this trade on our future for short-term revenue and long-term risk. We shouldn't be forced into a position where the only path to funding basic services that we need to survive and thrive is subsidizing billion-dollar companies like this. They can afford to pay their share. We deserve options better than this, and for all those reasons, I'm asking you to reject this project.
Amen. Jake, come on up.
Thank you. My name's Jake Costanza. I'm with Laborers Local 32. We're in support of this project. We're wanting to express our support. We're a membership group of 750 people, hardworking members. We cover Winnebago County and DeKalb County. But one of the things that I want to do is explain what laborers do. We put asphalt on the ground for our roads so that we can get to work. We build schools so that our kids can learn. We put sewers underground so that our communities don't flood. We rip lead and galvanized steel so people can have clean drinking water. One thing that we do best, though, is we work ourselves out of jobs. So we are one of those temporary jobs that we keep talking about. But we are thankful for what the Meta Data Center has done and what we know this data center will do if accepted. We're thankful for the new elementary school on Normal. We're thankful for the fire station. We're thankful for the Great Road program. We are thankful for the continued investment. It's changed a lot of people's lives. you know, I was going to have an apprentice come today by the name of Olajuwon. We added, of that 750 people, we added about 60 apprentices in the time that Meta was being built. Olajuwon couldn't be here tonight because on Friday, he's going to be having his first child. The Davises were actually teachers in St. Charles, but when Olajuwon stopped being a teacher, he started being a laborer due to that project. He was able to build a home here. He's going to have his family here. So while not many things are permanent in this life, maybe a tattoo, inevitably dying, some of those things are more lasting. And so that home, his family, the ability to do that, that's just one great story that we have here. We have many more that were from that project and from the projects that this city is sustaining. So we just want to say thank you for that, and we hope that you can support the project. Thank you.
Thanks, Jake. Yes, sir.
How's it going, folks? My name's Ben Roders. I live on South First Street. I wanted to thank the nearly, or over 700 people who signed the petition opposing Project Vector first. I moved here in 2022 with my fiance, who's an Afton native born and raised resident. We started a life in the country raising chickens, ducks, geese, and enjoying a quiet life that a suburbanite like me at the time was not accustomed to. Grew to love. At the time, I was still serving in the U.S. Army. 3 months after I moved to Afton, I was given orders for a 12-month mobilization overseas, which changed my life forever. When I returned home in 2024, my 6 years serving my country came to an end, and I was looking forward to picking up where I left off, learning to adjust to civilian life, tending to my flock, improving the farm, and finally starting the life and family I've always wanted. All this is now being disrupted by the data center being proposed nearly in my own front yard. My family's quiet life is being threatened by this data center and all of its pollution, noise, increased utility costs, potential forever chemicals in the air and groundwater that it brings. The data center is threatening my family and the way of life that I've worked so hard to achieve over the years. I know I am just one story of many of the people that will be affected directly by Project Vector, and I just want to remind the people that are voting on this terrible project that you work for the people of this town and not greedy corporations who just want to use our land to make money. I come before you to please oppose Project Vector.
Thanks, sir. Yeah, Amy?
My name is Amy Dahl, and I've been a resident of DeKalb for just over 11 years. And I didn't come here tonight to speak in support or in opposition of the data center. I came tonight to learn, but also to speak in support of the processes of democracy and local decision-making, and in transparency and local decision-making. The term data center sparks fear, and because there's a lot of unknowns. And when we have fear about something, there are a lot of rumors and misinformation. I've heard some of it tonight. I've read a lot of it this week. But you, as a decision-making body, you have the ability to alleviate a lot of those fears and make decisions in a way that we feel good about as citizens in this community. And I would like to encourage you to do that. And you can make the meeting shorter by not voting on this project tonight. We will likely not all be happy about the decision and the outcome. But in a democracy, we should all have access to the information that we need and the time to understand it if we want. The background material for this agenda item is linked in the agenda, and I know some maybe didn't see it, but it's 182 pages long. The memo was dated December 3rd. That was 5 days ago. And many of us in this room, and I suspect many of you have other jobs and children to get places and holidays coming up, and maybe haven't had the chance to read all of it and understand all of it. The planning and zoning meeting and public hearing was held just 1 week ago on the Monday after Thanksgiving. I think we in DeKalb can do better in our decision-making and transparency and helping our citizens understand what's happening without rushing the vote. It's my understanding there are still a lot of unanswered questions about this development, and I think as citizens here, we deserve the information about things that will impact our tax bills, our utility bills, our environment, and our health. And we also deserve the time to understand it and provide input to you as our elected officials. Many of us learned new things tonight, and if this vote proceeds, we won't have time to talk to you about what we've learned and what we think. Mr. Carlson, I would love to have a conversation as a resident of your ward. In the background material, it is noted that other communities in Northern Illinois faced with some of the same opportunities have decided to pause and let others show them the way. I appreciate the way that was written because it's true. I work with a lot of colleagues throughout the state that are working in communities that are trying to figure out what to do about data centers. We know that they come with incredible water use burdens and utilities and power, and we need to figure it out, and DeKalb has that opportunity. There are other communities watching what's happening here in this community. And I think we can also lead the way by having an open and transparent process, a thorough process, and a process that's not rushed for making these decisions. It has been very unclear to me this week about why there would be a public hearing a week ago, a public hearing tonight, followed by a vote. I think we can slow down and ask a few more of our questions, and we can reach some decisions that we're all a little bit more comfortable with. And I think you all know there's an incredibly high level of interest in the projects and this project and questions that people would still like to have answered. I think I would ask the council to just give more time for more input, more meetings with constituents, and maybe a plan for how do we hold these builders accountable. I'm sure you are all wonderful people, but this is also about profit. How do we hold them accountable for the things we want in our community? I look around and I'm incredibly proud of my community. They showed up. The community here shows up, and they will continue to do that. And I want to know, how will we measure the environmental impacts, the water usage, the power usage, and hold them accountable for decommissioning plans? And so I would like to see a plan for that, but I would respectfully ask that the council postpone the vote on this and take a little bit more time for public input. Thank you so much.
All right, who'd like to be next? Mike? Brian, I'll get to you next.
Hello, I'm Mike Carpenter, 5 Fairway Circle, DeKalb. I'm a lifelong resident of the community here. Prior to me, my father raised his family here. So I've been here for a long time. I've been in the real estate business for over 30 years. And, I've heard a lot tonight, but I'm totally in support of this project. I look at it, and a lot of communities, this would be a dream for a lot of communities. The temporary jobs that will take place over the next 5 years will help support retail, our restaurants, gas, hotels, and we need it, So one thing that I saw the petition that was circulating, and they talked about declining property values. And, we have a phenomenal opportunity here to really increase our industrial tax base, which should segue into stabilized property taxes or even reduced property taxes. So our property values, they won't decrease, they'll increase. Lower property taxes equates to higher property values. So I urge the council's support on this great project. It's got the technology. Data centers are a wave of the future. Mr. Krasinski's development team, they've done their homework. This has been years in the planning. It's not rushed. It's something that I would sure hope the council supports. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian?
Hello, good evening. My name is Brian Granger. I'm a local retirement community builder. And I can't help but tell you I'm also the grandson of Ray Vellum, who tracked the bald eagle when it was almost extinct. There was less than 1,000 of them in northern Wisconsin. And he worked for the Department of Natural Resources and tracked them all over the United States and was a part of that all the way until they were taken off the endangered species list. And but he of course I knew him very well, but he lives in a small community. He wasn't anti-growth. But it was actually businesses that also worked with him. You know, for example, he also tracked the osprey, and they used to nest in power poles, which would commonly electrocute them and kill them, and that was part of the problem. So working with a local power company, they put up poles for the osprey. And so I guess it's hard as a developer to listen to people make accusations that developers don't care, because they do. And I think this developer cares, and he's shown that in this community. So I didn't come here to say that tonight, but I think that the people doing that work is meaningful work, and I appreciate it. But we have to work together, and I think this community, this developer, is an example of a developer that will work with the community as it relates to things like the bald eagle that do matter. But I didn't come here to say that. I came here to say I'm a 55-plus developer. And this is really, to me, this is a vote for lower property taxes, increased services. I have the opportunity, I've had the opportunity to talk to thousands of people considering retiring in our area. This is how we keep retirees in DeKalb, this type of project. We have a visionary developer working with world-class companies. Really, I know people say they haven't understand the technology. I have looked at it. I'm incredibly impressed by it. For one, it's very green. A groundbreaking technology, not only in the technology sector, but in the energy sector. Let's send a message that DeKalb is a good place to invest and a good place, a great place to do business. Like someone else said, I would echo the point. The world is watching. Please vote yes tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, come on up.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Andy Wade. I'm with the IBEW Local 364, the electrical workers. We cover 9 counties, including DeKalb County. I cover DeKalb County. I think we're lucky here in this situation in that we have a like comparison right next to this proposed job site. We have the Meta Data Center to take a lot of things from that we could analyze and make a quality decision about this project. One good example would be the water consumption. This site doesn't have that issue. But that's not what I would like to focus on. What I would like to focus on is the positive impact a project like this makes on workers. Over the course of that Meta Data Center site's construction, we had thousands of workers out there. And those workers, many of them set down roots here. I know many of them personally that they bought houses here, their families are here, their kids go to school here, they patronize local businesses. And in addition to that, we can look at Meta post-construction. Meta was completed in 2023. I know we still have over 100 electricians out there making high-paid jobs. They have a career out there right now. There's over 100 other workers doing facilities operations of, various types at that facility, and I know there's more than that out there as well. So, point being is that once construction is completed, there's still people here working at that facility. they're still here in this community, and these jobs make a big difference to a lot of people's lives. Helps people get ahead and provide for their family. So we're here to speak in support of this project.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Andy. Others? Yes, Mr. Boyce.
Hello, I'm Chris Boyes. I'm president of DeKalb School District. And I think there's been a lot of talk about revenues for taxing bodies. But what does revenue for taxing bodies mean? So I'd rather focus on the data that it talks about what it does for our students. So the first thing is, let's just look at what Meta has done for us so far. Over 450 students attend Mitchell Elementary School every single day. Those students are able to get state-of-the-art STEAM education through our new Project Lead the Way program that's launched across our district because of grants that Meta has given to our district. Because of the additional funds that they have put onto our property tax rolls, over 600 students are now going to have access to our Early Learning Development Center, which our Board of Education just approved to start construction on, so that we can start moving forward with that to open by 2028. That is going to allow us to then look at our school district to change class sizes at the middle school level so that we can get those down to around 25 to 28 students per classroom, which means that our students, which are now currently in rooms with 30 to 33, are going to be able to get more individualized education and care for what they need. Our elementary schools, because of Mitchell's launch, are now at 25 or lower per classroom on average. That is breathtaking changes for our students. Our graduation rate, due to the fact that we've been able to invest in a program with the Network for College Success, has gone from 79%, we're now projected to be at 87% by the end of this school year. That is a huge improvement. And that, at the end of the day, builds into a stronger workforce, which then can go out and work for these kind of companies. Now, we have talked a lot about temporary jobs. Let's talk about permanent jobs that do exist in this community. As DeKalb Community Unit School District 428, we are the third largest employer in the county. Thanks to the funds that we have gotten from Meta, we were able to give every one of our affiliated employees in the district raises, where now the starting wage for every affiliated employee in the district, which is about $1,200, is now $20 or higher an hour. To keep in mind, minimum wage is around $15. So that means that now our employees are making at least $5 an hour more than about the minimum wage within the area. That is monumental change, where then the people in our communities can afford to put food on the table. And there is concern that electric bills will go up. But when we're able to support our community with these retail sales taxes and this additional expenditures, we don't have to go to our own citizens anymore to rack up their property tax bills to get those funds, because we're bringing in so much outside money, it kind of negates that. And it isn't with the school district, but I think it's important to note that this Meta project has also enabled the Park District to begin, and they'll be finishing the new pool soon, which at the end of the day directly impacts the city and school district, because the one part of the year where we don't have hands on them, they will now have a safe and state-of-the-art facility that they're able to go to and enjoy themselves in a safe environment as the city and the Park District steward that. So I would highly encourage, and as well with the consensus of the DeKalb School Board and the support of our administration, would encourage you to support this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boyce. Others? Yes, sir. Come on up, Lance.
Good evening, Council. My name's Lance McGill. I am a resident of South Point Greens. I live on Pebble Beach Court as well. Business agent for Local 150 with 24,000 members. I'm also president of the DeKalb County Building and Construction Trades Council, which represents 17 different crafts. People are, I'm going to bounce around a little bit. There's been a lot of things raised that I can speak to. People have talked, wondering about what's the real impact of this, right? So as previously said, Meta is a fairly real world example that we can look to for this. Meta had at one point 1,500 tradesmen on site That doesn't include all the Mortenson engineers, safety people, Meta representatives that were on site. That's purely skilled tradespeople. With that many people on site, the economic numbers at those time, that was roughly $5 million a week in payroll between the various companies that were out there. Companies that were out there also include local companies, right? Elliott and Wood from DeKalb did a lot of work out there. O'Donnell Crane did quite a bit of work. Curran, yeah, that's who I was trying to think of, third one. Curran did a ton of work out there. A lot of those local members live in the DeKalb County area, getting out there. Data centers, they're not going away, right? A lot of people that came up here brought their phone for their notes. That data is stored somewhere. All the pictures from this show tonight and of the Eagles and everything, I'm guessing were taken on a digital camera. All that is stored. I'm not taking any less digital photos. I don't think anyone else is. They're storing data. Data centers, like them or not, they're not going anywhere. They're going to be built. As the Economic Development Committee talked about, electric costs, we bear those upgrades, whether a data center is built in DeKalb or not. Our energy does not stay here. Some parts of that are fortunate, some things are not. Other people have also talked about these jobs being temporary. That's the way it goes, right? Construction is cyclical. These are temporary jobs. 11 years ago, this room was being built. There's no one here still building this room. Guys made a good living here doing that. They've gone on to the next job. Data centers, like I said, being so lucrative, some of our members, we've got a couple members under 20 years old, under 30 years old, in their 20s, that have houses that are paid for, no mortgage, starting families. I wish I could have said that in my 30s. I wish I could say it now. We've also got members, because Illinois has put a little pump the brakes on with biometric identification laws and whatnot on massive or hyperscale data centers being built here, traveling around the country. We've got members in Georgia, Louisiana, South Carolina, Indiana, Wisconsin working on data centers. These guys are traveling around making over $200,000 a year on this work. We had one member that was about to retire. One of the companies he's been working for has treated him so well. He's enjoying working there so much he's decided to postpone his retirement. And this economic impact, it's long felt, right? In 2008, there was a crash, right? The housing bubble, mortgage bubble, all that crashed. Local 150's pension fund was roughly $3 billion at that point, and basically overnight it became $2 billion. Without work being out there, members ran out of unemployment, and people that weren't planning to retire early had to retire early, so that exacerbated the problem, our pension. Thankfully today, it's back to where it needs to be. We're doing really well. But that's because of jobs. Without jobs, that does not get there. People have talked about taxes, the impact. I can talk about my family's personal impact. From 2021 to 2024, our taxes have gone down 18% while our home value has gone up. The school system here in DeKalb, I see a great future for it with what we've got coming. You know, there are a lot of underprivileged residents in DeKalb that depend on many of the things that school provides, and I'm happy to see that more money will be allocated to them. Non-disclosure agreements, someone talked about that. That is unfortunate that that's the way the world works these days. I don't care for them myself, but that is part of business. Just like tax abatements, I get that we all wish we got a 50% tax abatement once we moved here for a few years. That would be wonderful. Unfortunately, I don't know where tax abatements started, what community those went in, but that is part of doing business now. Everyone wants everything at the lowest cost. I don't think anyone in this room is any different. Otherwise, we wouldn't have Walmart, Target, Meijer, Lowe's, Menards, all of those big box stores in our community. We'd still have small mom and pop shops. So for all those reasons, on behalf of the building trades, on behalf of Local 150, we wish you support Project Vector. We hope that you vote on it tonight, and let's get this done. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Shepherd.
Good evening, Chuck Shepherd, Shepherd Construction. I've been a contractor in this market for 50-plus years, and although I don't work directly on any of the projects on the south of the tollway, the commercial needs that are made necessary because of these projects are the type of project that are preferred by companies like mine, Irving Construction, who's here, Gerke, Weaver, Shepherd, just to name a few. These are companies that also employ many, many subcontractors and the subcontractor employees, and they have a direct community impact. I have witnessed the ups and the downs in this market being here for 50 years, and some of them have been severe. And Dr. Charlie McCormick's bringing these things up back in the early 90s and everything. Our district just about went belly up, the school district. I bought in with a few partners on the Devonair project, housing project on the west side of town in 2005 with high expectations of being successful early on. It was about the same time that Jerry took the dice throw himself on the project or the land that we're talking about right here. But it's taken 20 years, 25 years, you know, but we're still here. We're still here, and we're going for the community. So also with that national ups and downs affected our community, which I was just referring to. I've also seen all the impact of the losses from losing Barbara Green Company, GE, Wurlitzer, Anaconda, DeKalb Ag, to name just a few. These South Side projects are the replacement for these losses, and they will shore up all our taxing bodies over the long term. We're presently witnessing a dramatic positive impact on our community and need to continue on this very positive path. Please vote yes on these proposals. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shepherd. Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Heinisch.
Will Heinisch, local businessman, local property owner, advocate for the city for a very long time, been before many councils over the last 30 years. So why am I here again tonight? Why am I wearing a funny bag? And anybody know what this bag means, what it stands for? Paper route. Exactly. But when I look back in time, my grandfather came to DeKalb 90 years ago. He came on a train. He came from Portsmouth, Ohio. He was a senior, didn't even finish high school. But why did he come to DeKalb? He knew that DeKalb was a land of opportunity. Invented barbed wire. We had DeKalb Ag. DeKalb Ag was inventing hybrid corn. And Northern Illinois University, among many other things. My grandfather started as a hired hand working at a local farm. Met my grandmother, saved up enough money, and purchased a farm and started farming. The first tractor they bought was an F-20, which I still have this tractor today. Manual steering, hand crank to start it, no suspension seat, no cab heat air, no drive yourself. But I still have this tractor today. And this is where he started with. Guess how many bushel per acre he produced when he started farming? 30 to 40 bushel per acre. Today our farm produces 250 to 275 bushel per acre. If we don't change, and he didn't change, and DeKalb Ag hadn't been present, and today farming, the technology, the advances, the innovation, the computers, the data, the GPS, and yes, AI, all contributes to more bushels per acre so that we can feed the world and actually, to a degree, overproduce. But then let's move a little bit further. About 40 years, I grew up on the corner of 5th and 5th Street in DeKalb when my family was getting started. And guess what? I had a paper route. Anybody remembers the Daily Chronicle? There was about 60 of us paper carriers. The paper was $4.40 per month. I went out to every house, delivered all my papers. I had about 40 on the route. I got to keep $1 out of that $4.40. Then my wage was about $1 an hour by the time I got done with my paper route. And guess what? Why did everybody get the newspaper back then? Was it for the local news, somewhat local national news? But that was already a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month behind. Got for the ads, marketplace, autos, for rent, merchandise for sale. Guess where we get all that now today? Our phone. We continue to change and evolve, and we need data centers. And DeKalb is part of that and part of the culture. And from our roots, from barbed wire, from DeKalb Ag, and as Chuck Shepard said, a lot of the companies are no longer here. If we fail to change, eventually we fail. And if we fail to grow, we eventually fail. 30 years ago, I came before this council. And guess what? We had multiple problems. We had high property tax rates. We had high crime rates. We had negligent landlords providing housing, and we were deemed business unfriendly 30 years ago. And so I made it one of my goals to help the city. And throughout the last 30 years, and I can count the people in this room maybe on 10 hands that I've seen at these council meetings over the last 30 years. And I'm still part of the Annie Glidden Task Force that revitalized and part of Opportunity DeKalb on the northwest corner of DeKalb. I helped found and was one of the founding members of the DeKalb Area Rental Association to hold negligent landlords responsible to provide better housing for all of our residents. We developed in the city of DeKalb crime-free housing, and now we're in version 3.0. That's become a boilerplate for the rest of the state. I take offense to people that say that we aren't here in DeKalb, don't know what's going on, we're out of tune, and big business vultures come and just want to take what we have to offer. No, we guide our future, and I've helped guide, and a lot of people in this room help guide. The people that have been opposed tonight, they haven't been here at the meetings I have the last 30 years. What Facebook, Meta, has helped stabilize DeKalb through taxes. 30 years ago, I formed a group, Focus, Fostering Our Community's United Success. Why? Because we were seen business unfriendly. Why? Because I stood up and I said, in the state of Illinois, we are falling in a big black hole. A lot of other communities are falling in a big black hole, but we can stabilize. We can stabilize, we just have to let everybody else fall faster. And that's what we did. And so 30 years ago, we made the commitment to be business friendly, to attract business, to attract the growth south of DeKalb, to drive our tax rate down, which increases property values, which stimulates economies. A lot of people that are in opposition tonight are philosophically, maybe politically biased, are somewhat out of touch with reality of how business incentives work. And I have not heard any of their plans of where to attract and how to attract business. And we had this vision that that's industrial, that's growth, and that's how we're going to grow and support our city. We're on the cusp now where we're planning for decades into the future. And I will be here in 10 to 30 years, God willing, before this council for the next generation. As my grandfather came here from Portsmouth, Ohio, I want to be here. I want decades of my family and generations to stay and consider DeKalb as part of our community and heritage. I'll close with this. Again, if we don't continue to accept change and grow, we will fail and slip back to where we were at 30 years ago. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Heinisch. That's going to be hard to top. Come on up.
My name's Jack Walker. I live in Afton Township. I've been a resident for 50 years there. My grandparents have been a resident there too. My dad lives basically right behind where Meta is now. He's seen all of that grown. Jerry's done everything he said he wanted to do. He's been a great builder for that. My parents just purchased the house. It's going to be right around all of this stuff. And they're happy that this is going in there rather than semi-trucks every day with the red and the green lights. And it could also have been a spur for the railroad. We are supporting this. I'm here for my dad, for Fred Walker. We thank you very much for everything you've done for the community and for Afton Township too. Thank you. I hope you vote
Thank you,
for
Jack.
it.
Appreciate it. Any others? Yes, sir.
My name is Brian O'Connell. I'm a representative for Local Carpenters 790, and I have not been around as those two families. But I have been a resident of DeKalb for the last 12 years. I lived in apartments. My first job in the local was redoing the Grant Towers at NIU. And I've been fortunate enough to work for a couple contractors in the area, and now I represent members for 790. And these types of jobs provide jobs that I started in. I didn't live here to begin with, but I did move here. My wife did go to Kishwaukee College and become a nurse, right? So these aren't just jobs that move away like people have been saying. We live here now, and we really appreciate everything you guys are doing and hope you keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others? Yes, Ms. Hess?
Hi, it's been a very informative night. I wrote out what I want to say so that I stay on track. But as a resident of DeKalb and a fellow elected official, I think that one of the reasons that all of us run for office is to represent our community members and to have some input onto quality of life decisions. Tonight's vote is a big quality of life decision that you have to make. I don't envy you for it. It's been some very convincing arguments tonight. I think you have a lot to digest. I followed the input that I've read online by both those who support and oppose this plan. Ironically, everything I read, it's been online. Studies that have been referenced are online. And all of this is available for us to read because of data centers, the irony of it. Also kind of ironic is last week, today's Monday, last week I attended a watershed education session, which was very informative. Highly encourage you, Carolyn was there. The lunch sponsor was Meta. We had a fabulous lunch because of them. And that's just one of the ways that they've, many, many ways that they've contributed to our community. So whether it's for learning, communication, entertainment, consumerism, or running a business, everything is done through technology today. It's a staple in our lives. It's not going away. But back to the quality of life. Quality of life has many of things. It's the schools that our children attend. It's the quality of our water, of our roads, the recent plowing that took place, the safety in our neighborhoods, the social services that are available to those who need them in our community, emergency responders getting to emergency situations, and these are all supported by local tax dollars. So while the arguments tonight have been very convincing and there's environmental concerns, our quality of life is driven by what we take in as a community, and there are many things beyond our control. The cost of equipment and materials and labor grows every year, and we stay alive through economic development. So We've been fortunate to have growing economic development on the south side of our community that benefits Afton Township more than DeKalb Township, but it still helps the residents in our community. And so those in charge of our taxing bodies, I really think it's important that they demonstrate responsible fiscal management and be mindful of wants versus needs so that we as the citizens can feel the benefits of the increased tax diversification in our community. So you have a very difficult decision in front of you tonight. I thank you for listening to everyone and taking this all into consideration, and thank you for what you do.
Randy.
Good evening. Randy Bordachis with Afton Township, the supervisor. I actually had something already prepared to read, but I'm not going to, because first, you do have a letter in front of you that I delivered to the city manager this afternoon that states that Afton Township Board is endorsing this project, and we're voting on it tomorrow night officially on record. I want to clarify some things that Meta has done for our township. We were the 13th largest township out of 19 in DeKalb County, and we're now sitting in the second position because of them. We went from an EAV of $44 million to now to $471 million. In a township of 464 people, this is a big deal. And I'm telling you, people should be celebrating, because these opportunities do not come knocking to many communities. And I've heard all the negatives. But when you hear the negatives and you look at all the positives of what has been brought here, and this gentleman, Mr. Krasinski, he has a track record, many years of it, and Meta's right here in Afton Township's backyard, and everything he said he was going to do, he has done, and probably even better. The wildlife out at Meta, I've been out there to that facility and to see what they put in place to protect the wildlife that people are talking about here. They raise the bees in the back for honey, and they've got the prairie grass areas out there, which is extremely important to the community. But I can't say anything more about what this next project will mean for us. We are going to be able to build a brand-new building for our road district. A 50-year-old building that's a shed that's got 2 doors, and I have an office in there, and I get mice that come in my drawer every day. I come in there and I can't get rid of them. So we're going to be able to build a brand-new facility. We wouldn't be able to do that with these type of developments. And I hear people all the time talking about taxes. We had a meeting this past April. For the first time, we had 70 people show up. I had to walk outside to get in my car and about died to see the traffic that we had in the little town that we have. But what I heard from our residents was they want lower taxes. We have people in our township want to pay 0 in Afton Township and Afton Road District. And we're getting close to that. We're at about 62% in reduction in our property taxes in our township. And with this development, we'll send it even to possibly 0. Not to say that these companies have to pay the brunt of it, but what I'm trying to make my point here is that they are getting rebates, but we're getting a huge benefit from it at the same time. We have more money than we are ever going to take, and we're going to tighten our belt. We don't need to take a ton, but we took a little to make sure we could do the things that we want to do for our community, because we don't know where we're going to be in 10 and 20 years. So that's why I'm speaking here tonight on behalf of our board, is that this is a project you must say yes to. We should all be celebrating. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Randy. Any other comments? Yes, in the back. With the hat, yep.
My name is Melissa DeBall. I have lived here my whole life. My parents and my grandparents have lived here my whole life, and I have a concern. Is that, the joke is that in DeKalb, we are kids of the corn. And granted, I know that we are trying to be biodiverse and everything, but the more you take down the environment and the more you take down things like that, the more it's going to impact it. And I mean, I have seen, many pictures from people, in many different countries, states, or whatever, and, you know, the big flying ear of corn. But how much longer is that going to be? Again, I know that we are very biodiverse as far as with our agriculture, but it's just, think for 2 extra seconds about how it's going to impact our environment, just as a whole. I know that there's a lot of things that I don't necessarily understand, and I've been trying to absorb it. I have friends who are very tech savvy, and they also have concerns too, but they're also not here to speak. But I want to end by saying that just take 2 extra seconds to just look at the environmental aspect, not just the wildlife, but just like, you know, you can't grow money, you can't breathe money, you can't eat money. I mean, you could, just don't. But just think about how it's going to affect long-term the people through the environment. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Irving, did I see you? Yep, raise your hand.
Hello, Steve Irving, longtime resident of DeKalb. I've been a contractor and a developer for the last 50-some years. Where in the hell did that go? But I came tonight after reading about the Planning Commission and the complaints from a lot of people. One person here had 700 signatures. I can tell you right now, I could get a couple thousand if I had the time to go out in favor of this project. There is not a project, any type of project, that's going to satisfy everyone. I built a townhouse project in the late 80s here in DeKalb and was sued by 2 neighbors. One was the vice president of the university, the other one worked for DeKalb Ag. I bought the land from DeKalb Ag. The city approved the project, and those 2 people sued me, the city of DeKalb, and DeKalb Ag. It was settled out of court by me simply putting in a nice hedgerow. But the interesting part about the lawsuit is the same arguments I've heard tonight, is drainage, noise, lights, detention ponds, where you're going to decrease the value of my property. Well, let me tell you, after we started building the project, the vice president of the University of Business Affairs was one of the persons that sued us, came up to me. I knew him quite well personally, and he said, you know, Steve, I made a big mistake. And I said, what's that, Jim? He said, I built this beautiful big house. I wish the hell I'd waited and bought one of your places. And then on top of that, as we progressed, probably the most prominent person at the time in DeKalb County was Charlie Roberts, the CEO of DeKalb Ag. And he came and toured one of our projects. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is great. He might be interested in one. Well, as it turned out, I had an additional like 500 feet of property on the golf course that we had a contract to purchase. Well, after he left the next day, I lost that contract. He built a multi-million-dollar house adjacent to us. And that's how it works. I think it's human nature for all of us to be against something that's different than what exists where we live right now. And it's the same arguments. It's not that you people have brought up new things. It's property values are going to decrease. That's not true, typically. I mean, you've got a deep-pocketed developer who has years of experience, and these are major projects. These aren't things that they just threw together in the last 20 days. They've probably spent, and you saw Mr. Krasinski with just one booklet of probably 700-800 pages of data on one facet of that project. They've got multiple ones. I've done developments. And the idea that some people have said, well, where's the water study? Have you ever dealt with the city of DeKalb, the planning department, the engineering department, the city manager? They go to great depths to see that any development, whether it's something as large as this project or a little addition to a house, that drainage is addressed, access is addressed, everything involved in a project. And that's not something that they just throw together or the developer throws together. You've got a number of professionals here and all different facets of a project. If you read the Wall Street Journal or any paper, data centers they're all over the country. So this project reminds me of Byron. And why do I say Byron? 50 years ago, ComEd picked Byron to build nuclear power plants. And boy, I'll tell you what, the citizens of Byron were up in arms. That place was going to explode. It was going to decrease property values. The same arguments I've heard tonight. Ecological, animals, etc. Well, it's interesting. Since Byron has been built, the nuclear power plants, that town, if you go up there, has a new fire station, a new police station, a new library. I built a school up there. They have multiple schools in that town. Beautiful facility. Their property taxes have been stalemated for years. On one side of the river, there's an 18-hole golf course that the township or the county built. Beautiful golf course, all from the revenue of the nuclear power plants. And what happened 3 years ago? The state of Illinois was going to decommission the power plant. Who was the people primarily pushing to keep that open? The residents of Byron. They didn't want to lose that place. So, also interesting was listening to someone talk about the city of Sycamore. Well, if you read the Chronicle last week, and by the way, they still have the Chronicle. Well, the Sycamore School Board president is quoted in there about the financial constraints that school district has. They have had tons of residential construction, but of course that has brought a lot more students. They've had to add on to their schools. They have to sell a lot of tax anticipation warrants to cover their annual budget. And the last thing I saw in his quote was, you know, we aren't as lucky as somebody else that has a $500 million data center. And our school district just built a school. The park district built a new swimming pool. In both cases, neither one had to go to the taxpayers and have a referendum to do it because they have the cash. So we're very lucky, in my opinion. We've got Facebook. I mean, to me, that's proof in pudding. I've driven by there. I've stopped there. You can listen. I haven't heard any issues. It's clean. There's no trucks. We've got a 1 million square foot data distribution center being built right now, and that's great. That's going to be some additional property tax revenue, but it's got a lot of semis. It's got diesel fuel that put a demand on the road system. This project, just like Facebook, it doesn't have all that stuff. You couldn't ask for a closer, a better project for a town like this. And I wanted to put just something in perspective for you to consider or think about in terms of taking the farmland. Let's say we didn't build this here and we just want to build houses like Sycamore has done. Well, I looked at that and figured that if you build a 2,200 square foot house, which was somewhat of the average, it would take 6,571 new houses, paying an average of $7,000 a year in property taxes to equal what this one data center project is going to give this community. And that would take, maybe I said that, which is an average of 4 lots per acre. It's going to take 1,642 acres of farmland, roads, to equal, in terms of tax revenue, that's 3 times the amount of farmland that this project is going to need, at 600 acres versus 1,600 for all those houses. Now, DeKalb's averaged, what, 10 houses for the last 15 years each year? That's going to take probably well beyond the next generation before that's ever achieved. So I think this data center, personally, for this community is just an unbelievable opportunity. They don't come by often. So I encourage you to vote in favor of this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Irving. Anyone else? Hearing none, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing at 8:40. All right, we just have one agenda item to get to, and then we'll actually get to the ordinance regarding this public hearing. I'm going to move on to agenda item I, considerations, we have none. Agenda item J, resolutions, we have none. Then agenda item K, ordinances, second reading. Number 1, ordinance 2025-048, adopting the annual budget and non-bargaining unit pay plan of the City of DeKalb for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2026 and ending December 31st, 2026. Can I have a motion to bring it to the floor?
So moved.
Second. Moved by Alderwoman Zazada, seconded by Alderman Carlson. City Manager.
Thank you. I should start by saying I'm very disappointed. I thought everybody was here to hear my budget talk. You were? Okay, thank you. We can do a little teaching at the end. I have said this before, and nobody takes me seriously, but I think there are two financial steps that the council takes every year that are bigger and more important than any other. One is the adoption of the annual budget for the following year, and then also the setting of the levy, which is what we want in terms of total property tax, to help with that. So what you have tonight is the process, the end of a process that began back in a very public way back in August, when there was a joint meeting between the council and the Finance Advisory Committee. And then after some guidance from the committee, the staff brought back some more detailed spending projections, and there was another public meeting on October 20th, which was just with the Finance Advisory Committee. Then brought back a draft budget touching on all the operating departments, plus a lot of fiduciary funds that we have, pensions and insurance funds and the like. And that was on November 17th, and we spent the evening talking about that. There was some guidance on November 18th those recommendations and suggestions were imported into the budget that you have before you tonight. It's a very public process. We feel that it represents the council's opinion of what is needed in terms of services to advance our community, and we recommend your approval on second reading.
Council, any comments or questions on the budget? Yes, Alderwoman Larson.
That if everything else goes through tonight, this budget will be a lot healthier in a few possible years, just saying.
Absolutely. Any other comments or questions? Okay, hearing none, roll call, please.
Verbic.
Yes.
Walker. Yes. Zazada.
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Powell.
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes. Ordinance 2025-048 passes on second reading. Now moving on to agenda item L1, ordinance 2025-050, authorizing an annexation and development agreement with Jake JK 343 LLC, Project Vector. Can I have a motion to bring it to the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Carlson, seconded by Alderwoman Zazada. So we all know there's three agenda items here. This one is the main meat of it. That's where we'll just do all of our discussion, get questions answered that we might have from the vendor. And then the other two are more just procedural. So there won't be any comment or really after those. So let's get on to this first one. So City Manager, you want to kick us off?
Okay, I will. I'm going to give a brief summary of the action that is expected of the council one way or another, pertaining to, in this case, an annexation and development agreement. This annexation and development agreement was reviewed by the Planning and Zoning Commission last week, and it was recommended that you approve this. So what is in this annexation and development agreement? Well, it's not as big as Jerry's three-ring binder, but it's a very thick agreement. It's modeled after the Meta agreement in many respects, but there are a lot of individual details that had to be ironed out. It incorporates, among other things, a development plan. If you looked in the city, and I hope people did, and there was some comment earlier about we don't have enough time. Well, informed citizens are those that take the time. And there's a lot there. There's about 300 pages of background, as there was at the Planning and Zoning Commission. And by the way, in the middle of November, just to juice it up, and we could have just done about a 5-line notice to say there's going to be something coming, come to the Plan Commission. We had another 76 pages, I believe it was, of background for people, which actually started off a good community discussion. So what's before you tonight then is an action item that talks about the development plan, building elevations, final plats, much of what was shown in Mr. Kuzinski's introductory comments and has been referred to here tonight, but also at considerable length at the Plan Commission meeting last week. I'm not going to start from the beginning and work to the end. You've heard a lot of discussion tonight, some of it factual, some of it not. I just want to point out a couple things for the record, though. Among other things, there are some planning considerations that you don't typically focus on, but I think it's relevant to whether you want to make a decision and what your decision will be. So among the planning considerations are, and this is important also to the third ordinance, and that is that all parcels will be zoned PDI, that's a Planned Development Industrial Zoning District. There are no variances requested here. There's no breaks on our locally adopted codes and ordinances. There's been much talk about what impact this might have on local agriculture, and there are 3 points I want to make. First is that a little over a year ago, well, about a year and a half ago, the Department of Agriculture was approached to make a ruling in order to provide a basis for a decision on whether this particular property, the Region 2 and Region 3, would be included in our enterprise zone, which is a statewide program, by the way. We have a countywide, as Melissa was saying earlier, administration for that. And the Department of Agriculture recommended approval. In a letter that was dated back in April of '24, the Chief of the Bureau of Land and Water Resources wrote that the Department of Agriculture considered this enterprise zone expansion consistent with the DCEO's, that's another Department of State Government, Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, Agricultural Land Preservation Policy, and the Illinois Farmland Preservation Act. In addition, it's important to note that for those that are a little long in the tooth like me and like the first speaker tonight, Mr. Keene, if you've been around for a while and you go back into the late 80s in public service, then you know that there was quite a brouhaha between local communities and the county government about how local communities were going to expand. And after about 4 or 5 years of a lot of back and forth, a lot of vitriol and ultimately compromise, it was determined, and this is still the holy grail, I guess you would say, of long-range planning in this county. From that point forward, if you're a city and you want to expand, you have to do it from your current boundaries out in a ripple effect. You can't leapfrog and, hey, we can get, there's a developer who can get some cheap land out about 500 yards from our corporate limits, and we're going to annex in a strip out to catch them, and we're going to do that, and then we're going to do this on the southeast side and whatever on the northeast side. Can't do it. We bought into that. We've been consistent in ensuring that that's not the case. All the land that is in this proposal tonight is contiguous to the city of DeKalb. So it is a natural step, and it's consistent with the DeKalb County's land use plan, long-range comprehensive plan, and ours. Finally, we filed a natural resource information report through the engineering firm of Jacob and Hefter, which is represented here tonight. Filed that with the local soil and water conservation district. That's required. The city of DeKalb hasn't always done that, and I'm proud that we are doing it now. The final report is not made by the private entity. It's offered by the Soil and Water District at a price. There's a considerable filing fee for this. But the point of it is to, in the overall, protect and conserve the natural resources of the county. We favor that, as I've said, through a number of means that we do follow. And I will say that What has been filed already, and what has been, I should say, what's been approved already, is very nearly an overlap of the data that was collected for this particular local report. And we have very detailed city codes that relate to natural resources and resource management. They're referenced in our Unified Development Ordinance. The report also has to address natural resources, including stormwater, erosion control, hydrologic soil grouping, soil classifications, wetlands, and so forth. We do that as a matter of course. Okay. What else, from a planning standpoint, is important to note? One thing is that, it was mentioned earlier, all the interior roads are going to be privately owned and maintained. So in terms of future costs to the city, that's not on the table. As we annex, Keslinger Road becomes part of the city of DeKalb. It will be upgraded in terms of turn lanes and so forth by the developer. And then just as we did with Gurla Road, we assume the responsibility for the long-term maintenance. All stormwater detention areas and landscaping standards will exceed our locally adopted codes and ordinances. All buildings will have a height, which is, has been mentioned already, substantially below that is allowed in an industrial zone area, which is 75 feet, by the way. And all exterior yard and parking lot lighting will be shielded with the shoebox type shades. The ambient lighting cannot, under our codes and ordinances, spill across the area below, which is what happened in the old-fashioned day. You had a spotlight and you tried to light up all of the parking area. That's not what is allowed now. Quickly, incentives. This project, as it's been reported, does qualify for a classification called High Impact Project Interstate Competition Market. Wow, long title, but that is a property tax abatement that is the most significant in terms of the quiver of possibilities in our enterprise zone. And that's been discussed, and I think the council understands what that means. It's the same package as Meta got. The other piece that's in this particular development agreement, which is what's on the table right now, is that the project can qualify for the state level enterprise zone sales tax exemption. Many projects in the last years have qualified for that, from expansions to remodeling of industrial buildings. So it's not just the new entrants, it's a lot of smaller local, long-time local businesses that have benefited from that. Also, there is an electricity tax benefit. We have that also with Meta. I can tell you that Meta's impact on the electrical income for us, the tax that we can collect from electricity use, has advanced our total by about $500,000 a year. And so splitting that is splitting something that we never dreamed of. And our tax has typically, over the last 10 years, increase anywhere from 3 to 4.5%, 5%. So this is a huge jump, even with the benefit that I've just described. So what is the economic impact overall? There's been a reference to what it can do for our local taxing bodies. There's near-term benefit, though, and that's been mentioned by persons representing different trades that would work on this building. There's approximately 2.5 million square feet in Meta's 5 main buildings, and including a couple of smaller buildings other than data halls. As it was reported, on an average, maybe 1,100 trade and supervisory personnel on site every day during the construction over 5 years. More than that in good weather, and slightly less than that when not. And what's proposed here is greater square footage than that. So very conservatively, I think it's not illogical to say that we'd be experiencing quite a lot of trade work over the next 7 years or so. In terms of for the long-term benefits, there's been a lot of testimony tonight on the property tax benefits, and in your background, you'll see something on that. The pace of construction, finally, from a planning standpoint, toward full build-out will be something that we expect will move along from stage to stage, from phase to phase. I can tell you right now, if you're looking at just the tax picture, the roughly 12 different small and some larger parcels that are involved here that are currently identified in the county tax records generated in 2024 $40,700 in property tax. The first year of any assessment would obviously be 100-fold more than that. So I'm not going to presume to talk about the waterless cooling, the power usage, the path-breaking generation of backup power, the rigorous noise control. We've heard testimony on that. I haven't heard any concerns based on contrary or opposing data. I've just heard that I don't think that's true. Which gets me to a couple final comments, if I may. It was said here already, Mr. Heinisch has stolen a lot of my material here tonight. But whether spoken on the basis of fear or fact, I think it's safe to say that all speakers tonight are agreed that the approval of this project would bring change. And an outside observer might question if we in DeKalb have the skill, imagination, or governing ethic to lead us to a good result. In fact, sadly, a number of internal observers have mentioned that tonight. There is an online petition. We've heard about that. It was referenced here tonight. That's circulating, that reaches to a lot of zip codes as far away as Indiana, Iowa, and Wisconsin. It's enlivened some discussion around data centers, but I dare say that many of the people who are writing haven't taken the time to look at any of our background or to engage us or have shown up here today. But even if they had, I think bringing passion and fear to bear is not the best route toward civic discussion, but also making sound decisions. 20 years ago, there were voices in DeKalb that were fearful of residential development, and Mr. Irving mentioned that he ran into some of that. They just didn't trust us, whoever us was at that time, to work through the challenges that were posed by that burst in development. There was a de facto moratorium on growth that resulted for a while, and that didn't allow people to work through the challenges. And in fact, the housing crash in 2008 almost totally sapped the fiscal health of our municipal government, as Mr. Granger said. But it also really constricted sources of income for the not-for-profit agencies, some 30 that the city at that time was supporting, in which today we support many more. We're better than that now. I think we're builders now. We have a world-class high school that was built despite huge financial risk. We have advanced hospital and allied health facilities because local and regional investors recognized that responsible growth was our ambition. And I think more to the point tonight, we have a world-class Meta data center because we were recognized as partners to responsible and inclusive planning and development. We're not afraid of reaching down into the details of this proposed edge data center to find out if there is promise for our community, and we've done that, and we've shared that information, and we've gone out of state and we've looked around to see if the words are represented in what we're seeing. We have the shared experience and we have the confidence to make sound decisions. We're a community, I think, because of that confidence. and also because of our sense of continuity with those local pioneers who have taken risks in our behalf. On a recent trip the mayor and I took with Mr. Krasinski to see component parts that were being built for the turbo cell generators, to see what these things are like. Let's look inside them, let's poke around, let's see if people making them are real or phantoms or whatever. Our team was reminded that in earlier times, DeKalb embraced invention to step firmly into a future that was anything but guaranteed. The systems engineer we met in October disclosed that he was the great-great-grandson of one of DeKalb's early barbed wire inventors turned manufacturers. His name, ladies and gentlemen, was Perry Elwood. That name is irrevocably tied to our history and the barbed wire patents of the late 19th century. Today, the pace of change is much faster by any account, but our reputation for leadership is firmly intact and has taken us to this opportunity. The Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously recommended the development agreement. I strongly urge you to approve this ordinance for the benefit of those in the room and generations of residents to come.
Well said, City Manager. Almost want to get up and cheer. So I know council, all of you have either met with the city manager directly, the city manager and myself, some multiple times. I know we've had a lot of Q&A. I know you've all been reading the background, you've been listening to the residents, you've got questions, you've gotten a lot of those questions answered, but this is our moment right now to ask the city manager, staff, Krasinski Construction, the Edged Endeavor team, any questions that we might still have on this particular project that we don't feel got answered tonight. So I'll open it up to council right now. Yes, Alderman Carlson.
I might as well go first because my name was mentioned tonight. I'm the alderman of the 4th Ward. And I'm going to look at you. I wish they would have stayed. I understand your concerns. I do. I was born in DeKalb, raised here. I'm going to die here because I love it. I did not sign an NDA. Is that man still here? Never signed an NDA. With those concerns, what I tried to do is take as much time as I could and listen to everyone and not answering anyone because I didn't have the answers yet, and research and look into this. But if you remember 2 months ago, there was a data center that was up for vote. I did vote yes for it. And I tried to articulate why. And the way I look at data centers, and this is the way I look at it, and many people said it tonight, 54 years ago, if you would have came to me, born, and said I could wipe away all film, all DVD, I have to look at everyone's interest. And everyone's interest in DeKalb is everyone. And for that reason, I look at this as a great, great opportunity. I think DeKalb would be foolish not to do something like this. I've seen the momentum. That's what I keep talking about, why I wanted to join, the momentum that this council did before me. I've only been a council person for 7 months. That's it. And today when someone was talking to me, said, if I vote yes, I'm committing political suicide. Well, I'm not a politician. I'm a DeKalbian, like my father before me. And I have to do what's best for DeKalb, and I have to look everybody in the eye and make that decision. This is the biggest decision I've ever made, and I believe we should do this. I believe it is a great opportunity, and I believe it's the momentum I've been talking about. Let's keep building and keep making this city great.
Alderwoman Larson.
Yeah, I'd have something to say. I think Mr. Heinisch kind of started with this. If you're not growing, you're at least stagnating, and you're probably 1 foot in the grave. That's just what happens. And so you want to be in charge of where you're growing, and which I think we are. And for the people that say, explain to me how this water thing works, until I understand it, I won't vote. Like Mr. Nicholas said, you've got a binder, and there's probably more binders that support that binder in every area in it that, you know, could fill a data center with all the data that has probably been run and rerun and relooked at. You don't have to explain that to me. I get that. we look at you, you're the professionals, and with having Jared Krasinski there, he has chosen DeKalb. His father chose DeKalb and has made the commitment that this is a place he wants to invest his money. And I know people are like, they're just all in it for the money. We're all in it to make money. That's how we live. That's how you can have a life to live, by having money that you make. Profit is not a negative term. Mr. Krasinski has invested his money in DeKalb for a long time that didn't make any money. He kept trying to get developments that would happen. But did he sell it to somebody else? No. He kept believing in DeKalb until finally we're at fruition. And so to me, I think this data center, for all the other reasons of why, but I'm just kind of addressing some of the negative thoughts that were about, why we shouldn't. And I just can't think of one reason why we shouldn't. I'm 100% behind the data center.
Yes, Alderman Walker.
Well, first I want to go on record for saying I'm 100% in support of this. However, I do want to say, verse what Alderperson Larson said, yeah, you do have to be respectful to people and how they feel about certain things and information, because like you guys are the Michael, this is what I say about everybody, that's top of the game. You guys are the Michael Jordans of this. We honestly could sit up here and listen to you and read all the information and probably still wouldn't understand it, that's just how it is. But since Mr. Will Heinisch is, master of ceremonies tonight, seriously, I've learned a lot from Will. Will's family and himself's been out here. I've been out here 28 years. He's been out here way longer than me, and I served on several boards with him, and he's taught me a lot. And one thing that he's taught me is to think outside the box sometimes. And I think, people in general are afraid to do things like that because, like a lady said, you're not used to change. But with this situation, and no disrespect to anybody, but I've been a councilman for almost 3.5 years, and this probably was my easiest thing to vote on. Just look at, like, I'm sorry, Jack, I don't know your name, I'm sorry, but look what he said, what it did for his community. Like, they're about to build a whole new building. Look at what Mr. Irvin said about the Park District with the swimming pool and the school district. We didn't have to do anything for them. They already had the money, and if you get to sit back and look at DeKalb, and I do, every once in a while, because everyone knows I'm a UPS driver, 25 years in the area, and I look at how much has grown, just from what I'm seeing with my own eyes, and everybody's ward. And yes, we have to keep, continue to do things to keep DeKalb moving on an upward, slide. So I think that Bill Nicholas, you did a great job with this. I'm proud of you, but don't keep patting yourself on the back. Keep bringing us, things of this nature to our town. Because the one thing I thought I had a hit on you last week because of the taxes, situation that we all been faced with, saying, why do we do this, why do we do that? Well, guess what, people? When we go out and do things like this, like everyone said, this helps somehow reduce taxes. And, it allocates money to all these taxing bodies. And if you don't know what a taxing body is, you should look into it, because I think people speak a lot of informed information about how things work. And they reach out to some of us older people like we're stupid or we don't know how to read and do, the job that we've been, elected to do. So that's kind of, frustrates me when people in the audience say, they put down people of this magnitude when, they came and stayed and see what the final result would be. So for that reason alone, that kind of disappoints me about people. And I don't want to talk too much, but I kind of want to ruin everybody else's night because Monday Night Football's off. But I do want to say, I am proud of, this council for this. And I think this is huge for DeKalb. This is very huge. And not only for DeKalb, Afton, I think this is, I was talking to Alderman Powell the other day, and I said, you know what, man? When I'm driving back, from late night, from dinner or whatever, or, gambling a little bit at the casino, I look, I'm on 88 and it's all dark. And right when you get, close to DeKalb, everything is lit up. And my daughter one time said to me, you know, she was like, wow, we actually live in a city now. And she's 16. So, you know, for that reason, you know, I support this 100%. Like I said, I'm going on record saying, Bill Nicholas, you did a great job with this, Mayor Barnes, and I'm very glad to be a part of it.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Yes, Alderwoman Zazata.
Everyone spoke to the benefits so eloquently tonight, so I'm just going to say that I agree with all of the benefits that I heard, and I think that the benefits dramatically outweigh the costs. The benefits, especially for residents and our children, hearing from the school district's perspective was really helpful. Those benefits just can't be measured, right? That is money that people can eat. That is going to be what pulls people out of poverty, the increased income in our city. And so I fully support this. Thank you for all your hard work, all of you on this.
Any other comments or questions? Yes, Alderman Powell.
Yeah, I want to say I think it's a tough spot for the residents surrounding that, but I don't think it'll ever be a win for them, but I think it's a win for the community overall, not just, you know, when you look at it. If I was them, I don't see the win either if I lived there, but when you're looking at 40,000 other residents, I think there is a win, and it's huge. And the narrative like, hey, you guys just picked DeKalb and preyed on DeKalb, I don't believe that. I believe you guys chose us and we chose you as well, and we believe in what you're doing. But again, I don't think there's a win for even electric, and water was the biggest issue. Then you come up with new technology for the water, and now they're saying we're a test run for you. I mean, I don't think there's a win there. I think you guys did your best to accommodate what runs people off with data centers, which is water and electric. And for that reason, I support it for the overall city and what it can do for the streets. Well, not the streets, but the city, overall, the school district, every taxing body. I just feel like there's no way we say no. So thanks for what you do, and I appreciate it.
Any others? For me, I heard a lot about fast tracking and things like that, but this council, and there are a couple of you who were on here when Mayor Smith was mayor, and the decisions you made laid the groundwork for the economic development we have. And then we've got a comprehensive plan that was 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago now, that was developed. I've at this mic talked repeatedly about different issues from power and privacy legislation that we're working with our legislature on. This has been an ongoing topic. And you know, when they also talk about environmental impact and things like that, we have the Illinois EPA is a factor here. We have in the state of Illinois some strict requirements. We have the Illinois Department of Agriculture that'll be involved in this. Everybody's signing off on this project because the oversight is going to be phenomenal. But I think at its core, when people think and they're concerned about we haven't done our research or we don't know and this is new, to me it's not, because two things. One, we already have Meta. We have a data center. I heard some of these concerns early on with that project, and now look at what Meta has brought to the community and the impact and the good stewardship that they brought to our community. I think they're a perfect example to show that this isn't new to us. We've already done exactly this. But then I've got to give Krasinski Construction so much kudos. World-class organization. Your integrity is phenomenal. You always work with people. You care about your projects. You care about DeKalb. And because of that, that's why you attract world-class organizations like Ferrara Candy Company, Kraft Heinz, Amazon, Meta. I think it's just a continuation of the good work that you've been doing, and I'm proud to be a partner and a part in just that. And Edged Endeavor, really looking forward to working with your teams and seeing this idea come to fruition here in the city of DeKalb. And I think you'll hear, as you just did now, that we're going to be a great partner for you as well during this process. So with that, how about roll call, please?
Powell,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Zazata,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes. So ordinance 2025-050 passed on first reading. I would take a motion to waive second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Carlson, seconded by Alderman Walker. Any comments or questions on that? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Larson,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Zazada,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Excellent. Hang on, everyone. I want to move on to ordinance 2025-051, approving the annexation of approximately 560 acres generally located along the east and west sides of Illinois State Route 23, north of Kesslinger Road and west of Kriegel Road, to the City of DeKalb Project Vector. Can I have a motion to bring it to the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Verbic, seconded by Alderwoman Larson. Anything to say on this, City Manager?
Yes, just so people know,
Yep.
these two are, as you said, Mayor, at the beginning, supportive in effect
Yep.
to the main event, which is the annexation and development agreement. The zoning is not only spelled out in that agreement, but also the fact that if the agreement is approved, the council cannot reasonably deny the annexation, which is before you right now.
Yeah.
And without any other grounds, I recommend your approval, unanimous approval.
So I would take a motion to approve ordinance 202, oh wait, or get the motion second. Any comments or questions on that? Sorry. I'm a little antsy. Roll call, please.
Larson,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Zazada,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes. Ordinance 2025-051 is passed on first reading. I would take a motion to waive second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Carlson, seconded by Alderman Walker. Yep. Any comments or, any comments or questions on that? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Carlson,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Zazada,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes. Second reading has been waived for ordinance 2025-051. Moving on to the last of the three, ordinance 2025-052, approving the zoning petition of JJK 343 LLC to rezone approximately 560 acres generally located along the east and west sides of Illinois Route 23, north of Kesslinger Road and west of Kriegel Road, to the PDI, Planned Development Industrial District, and approving a development plan and final plat for the development of a data center and accessory uses project Vector. Can I have a motion to bring this to the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderwoman Zazada, seconded by Alderman Powell. City Manager?
Thank you. When, in Illinois, when property is annexed, it comes in the most restrictive district designation, and that would be single-family. In this case, that's not appropriate for a data center. So the rezoning is to rezone from that SF1 to PDI, Planned Development Industrial. That's what's before you. We recommend your approval.
Any comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Carlson,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Zazada,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes. Ordinance 2025-052 is passed on first reading. I would take a motion to waive second reading.
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Walker,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Carlson. Any comments or questions on that one? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Powell,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Zazada,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes. Second reading has been waived for ordinance 2025-052. Now we can give a round of applause. Thank you all for your time tonight. The presentation's great, the background material, all the studies that you've given us. Can't say enough how much we appreciate it, how much we really do look forward to working with you all. The rest of the agenda does not pertain to you, so you're more than welcome to exit stage left, I guess it is. Yes.
Hey, Mayor Barnes. Sit down. We're still in the meeting.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's all.
Everybody gonna know. We can be like yes on all this.
All right, it's only 9:20.
I got another
We
hour.
have these city managers. You got those? Yeah, they're already.
Yep.
They were here when we got here.
This is how all the meetings were at the beginning.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and move on to number 4, ordinance 2025-053, authorizing the Northern Illinois University annual contribution for integrated transit services. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Carlson, seconded by Alderwoman Larson. City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. We have an intergovernmental agreement with Northern Illinois University to coordinate integrated transit services that dates back to 2018 when the merger occurred. Back in 2024, we extended that for another 5 years. It does require that on an annual basis, we deal with what the northern contribution should be to our transit system. What's before you tonight is a 33% calculation, which comes to out of a total budget for the fixed route and paratransit services, or other services, obviously we do, but for those, which are just a little bit over $7.4 million. Their contribution is $2,415,155.
Comments or questions, council? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Zada,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes, ordinance 2025-053 passes on first reading. I would take a motion to waive second reading.
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Powell, seconded by Alderwoman Zazada. Any comments or questions on that? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Larson,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Walker,
Yep.
Zazada,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes, second reading has been waived for ordinance 2025-053. Number 5, ordinance 2025-034, repealing ordinance 2022-070, which approved a zoning map amendment from the NC Neighborhood Commercial District to the PDR Plan Development Residential District and the preliminary development plan for the property at 145 Fisk Avenue. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Powell, seconded by Alderwoman Zazada. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. So we've been looking to have a final engineering plan in preparation for future work on this property. And at the November 10th meeting, we were directed with Mr. Saucer to get something to you at the first meeting in December. Here we are, and we do have final engineering plan. There are some minor tweaks, but it's been prepared by Mr. Weber of Willett Hoffman. We've worked with them many times in the past. It's attached for your review. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it. We've reviewed it, and we feel that it meets essentially our requirements, and we're willing to work through minor details that may be there. The next step then would be, if you so direct, here's how we can play this from here, is that this would normally go to the Planning and Development, or excuse me, where are we? Planning and Zoning Commission, and then the full background of that, and then it comes back to you. So they produce the document, a little more staff work with the developer, and then it will come back to you. And if you want to do that, then you can vote against this ordinance, in effect, at this point, because this was brought to you saying, let's repeal. So you want, if you want,
So we gotta turn
we're
this down.
recommending that we proceed, we get to a polished plan, bring it back to you, and that makes some sense to us at the staff level.
So I had a motion to bring,
recommend
I have a
your
motion to
denial
bring,
of this.
procedurally, I just have a motion to bring it to the floor. Do I need a different, no, because we all say no.
You could, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
you could
okay.
vote no.
All right, so if we all vote no to this, that accomplishes
it.
what we need and we can move on.
Yep.
Okay. Any comments or questions on that, council?
No.
Hang on. Roll call, please.
Carlson,
No.
Powell,
No.
Verbic,
No.
Walker,
No.
Zazada,
No.
Larson,
No.
Mayor Barnes.
No. All right, so ordinance
7A.
2025-034 has been shot down?
Yeah, it's failed.
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 That's much better.
So
Failed.
on the plus side, we'll bring something back to you
All right.
as soon as possible.
You're all set, sir. Yeah, appreciate you sticking around. I know it was a long night to get to that one item. Number 7, ordinance 2025-055, approving a special use permit to allow a lodging house at 220 College Avenue, Family Service Agency of DeKalb Incorporated. Can I have nope, I missed it, didn't I? Yeah, sorry. Number 6, ordinance 2025-054, amending Chapter 23, Unified Development Ordinance, Article 5, zoning district regulations as it pertains to lodging houses. Can I have a motion to bring that to the floor, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Powell, seconded by Alderwoman Zazada. City Manager.
Thank you. Our planning director, Dan Olson, gave a very detailed prep for this. What is before you tonight are some amendments to our UDO that would add lodging house to the list of special land uses in 2 different districts, our multifamily residential district, MFR 1, and then another version of that, MFR 2, multifamily residential district. And a lodging house is defined in our UDO as a dwelling unit in which sleeping accommodations or meals or meals are provided for not more than 20 persons seeking shelter on a temporary basis for indefinite periods and is open to the public and transients. This definition includes only those uses operating under the authorization of a recognizable local, state, and federal agency. The finding of facts are in your background. The Planning and Zoning Commission considered this on December 1st and unanimously recommended your approval.
Council, questions or comments on this one? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Verbic,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Zazada,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes. Ordinance 2025-054 passes. I would take a motion to waive second reading for ordinance 2025-054.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderwoman Zazada, seconded by Alderman Powell. Comments or questions, staff, or council? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Walker,
Yes.
Zazada,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Powell. Powell,
Yes.
There, Paul.
Verbic,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes. Oh, it's getting to be that time. So that was, second reading was waived for ordinance 2025-054. So we move on to number 7 now. Ordinance 2025-055, approving a special use permit to allow a lodging house at 220 College Avenue, Family Service Agency of DeKalb County Incorporated. Can I have a motion to bring it to the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderwoman Larson, seconded by Alderman Walker. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an application of that allowance that you just created. There in the audience tonight is Tanisha Clegg, who is with the Executive Director of the Family Service Agency, that has interest in converting a property on College Avenue, 220 College Avenue, to a transitional facility. It would be a temporary housing and support services for up to 16 youth ages 14 to 18. The Family Service Agency would lease that from the current owner. The facility would be called Roots to Rise, and the programmatic initiative was approved by the council back in November, and to the tune of about a $50,000 grant for the facility. And so this is a carrying forward of that investment to the point where now that the law is allowing for this type of a thing at 220 College, it's before you to approve that as defined in the ordinance you just all unanimously approved.
Council, questions or comments?
I got a quick one, sir.
Yeah. Alderman Walker.
Hey, can you get up here real quick, please? Now, this is just a couple questions that really one question. So with this new house or whatever, is it for kids all over DeKalb County? DeKalb? How does this work?
So it will be for DeKalb County residents, but that being said, the majority of clients that we serve that would be utilizing the shelter are City of DeKalb residents. So I did pull some numbers. In fiscal year '25, approximately, well, I shouldn't even say approximately, 85% of the youth we served under our runaway lockout program, which are youth that we would bring into shelter or took to shelter out of county, were City of DeKalb residents. So that's essentially 13 and a half out of the 16 would have been from City of DeKalb. We're not splitting kids in half. And in FY '26, year to date, 75% of those youth have been City of DeKalb youth that would have gone into shelter here. So it is a county initiative. The reason we've chosen City of DeKalb first and foremost to house this shelter was because that is centralized location of those we're serving. If we were to go out of City of DeKalb, we would be doing a lot more transportation, things along those lines. With that being said, we are additionally doing transitional housing for 18 to 24-year-olds, and we will be looking outside of the City of DeKalb, as well as other communities. We did originally look in Sycamore and other communities as well, and we will continue to do that in the future.
Thank you.
Yes, Alderman Powell.
What type of supervision will be run at the houses? I have a couple emails where they're just kind of worried about the safety and elderly people in the neighborhood. So can you just speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the benefit of this is the requirements are 2 adults per every 8 youth. That being said, we plan to have 3 adults in the house at all times, and they are awake staff. So if you think about from a perspective of a parent, if you have teenagers at home, you go to sleep, they sneak out, they do all these great things that we don't want them doing. But we will have staff members that are awake at all times. In addition to that, the security cameras, all of our doors will have door alarms on them. All of our windows will have window alarms on them. So these youth will not only be monitored 24/7, but they'll also be receiving services. It's not just that staff is going to be sitting there awake with them. If there are youth that are coming in the middle of the night or youth that are awake and trying to do things that they shouldn't be doing, our staff is trained and equipped to work with them to resolve or address whatever may be happening in the community, in that house at the time.
Hey, and they want to be there. It's not like a.
It's voluntary,
chair.
yes.
So they shouldn't be wanting to escape. For the
Correct.
most part. So do you guys have plans and measures if they do try to escape, like you're just out the program or out the house?
So there are rules and regulations. I mean, if they break curfew, I mean, there's certain restrictions that they get. If they're absent from the house for over 24 hours, they're discharged from the program. If there's any running away or anything like that, we would report them as a runaway, just as a foster parent or anyone else would do. As a parent would do. We are not forcing anyone to stay in the house. They come into the house willingly. Their parents have to be in support of that as well. So it's not a group home. It's not a residential facility where we're locking kids in, anything along those lines. We're providing a service essentially that they want.
Gotcha.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Walker.
Yes.
Zazada.
Yes.
Powell.
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Verbic.
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes. Ordinance 2025-055 passes. I take a motion to waive second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderwoman Zazada, seconded by Alderman Walker. Any comments or questions on that? All right, roll call, please.
Zazada.
Yes.
Powell.
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Verbic.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes. Second reading has been waived for ordinance 2025-055. Number 8, ordinance 2025-056, approving the cancellation of the December 22nd, 2025 regular meeting of the City Council and authorizing the payment of invoices for the second part of December prior to the January 12th, 2026 regular meeting of the City Council. Can I have a motion to bring it to the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderwoman Zazada, seconded by Alderwoman Larson. City Manager.
With the council's actions tonight, we recommend approval of this ordinance on first and second reading.
Okay. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Powell.
Yes.
Larson.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Zazada,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes. Ordinance 2025-056 passes. I would take a motion to waive second reading on ordinance 2025-056.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Carlson, seconded by Alderman Walker. Any comments or questions on that? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Larson,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Zazada,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes. Second reading has been waived for ordinance 2025-056. Moving on to agenda item M, reports and communications, council members. Alderwoman Zazada.
No report.
Alderman Powell.
No report.
Alderman Walker.
Yeah, quick one. And this is, just talking about, our council. Most of us aren't friends, barely, I like barely some of you guys. But the one thing that I will say is, I think that when we sit in this position, we get a lot of negative feedback from whoever's out there, with some of the decisions that we make. But I would like to say, I do respect and I like how we do work together, even though we all don't see eye to eye on a lot of things, because we don't. We simply don't. But I like to say, like, what we did tonight is going to be big for my daughter's 16. When she comes back from college, this will be big for, her family one day. And I just, real proud of the decision we made tonight.
Well said, sir. Alderman Verbeek.
An extraordinary thank you to everyone involved with the IHSA makeup football game, which brought in an extraordinary amount of business in the Ward 6 Business District on a Wednesday that it would not otherwise have been there. So many thanks to everyone.
Alderman Carlson.
I got a couple. I'm sorry to start with this again. We had another passing in the 4th Ward. If anyone remembers Tom Boyce, worked for the DeKalb Park District. I've known him since I was a little kid. He wasn't just a friend, he was a protector to a lot of us. He was a big man, about 6'7", but if you ever wanted to meet a gentle giant, that was him. And to his wife Erin and his kids, my biggest condolences. He was, as the mayor said, he was a great soul.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to give them, not condolences, T.D. Ryan doesn't, his name gets mentioned enough, but I don't think we thank him enough. And I was out there Saturday for Freezing for Food. He eclipsed it again. He does this every year, 25 years, and he does it thankless. And he always thanks everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Great job, T.D. And the last one is, it's personal to me, but it's a 4th Ward. He was born in DeKalb, raised in the 4th Ward, worked 30-some years with me, basically, and has worked for the last couple years at the city. Jim Shanks retired on Friday. And I know there was a lot of union people here tonight. Traffic signals and street lighting is very dangerous. Not a lot of people make it. And I watched them in the sun and the blood and the beer, as Johnny Cash would say. I'm proud of you, Jimmy, and way to go. DeKalb thanks you. That's all.
Alderman Larson.
No report.
I have no report, except I really enjoy working with all of you. I think we do amazing work up here, and I got to say the same about city staff. You all are just incredible at what you do. You make it really easy for us to do the work that we do. So thank you to everyone, and also with that, I guess it would be Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
City Manager, report.
Just want to echo what the mayor and Alderman Walker said. Very, very proud to work for you.
All right. Moving on to agenda item N, executive session, we have none, which gives us O, adjournment. I would take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Carlson. You guys have me worried. Seconded by Alderman Walker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nay, same sign.
We had such a
We are
love
adjourned.
fest at the end. We want to stay, slumber party.